Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our first year 26 budget workshop. The date is July 10th, 2025. The time is now 1:39. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass,
I'm here.
Vice Mayor Kelly,
Present.
Commissioner Santiago,
Here.
Mayor Taylor.
Here, as we stand for our invocation, led by Assistant City Manager, Mr.
Go ahead. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord God. We pray, Father God, you give each and every one of us, Lord God, wisdom and revelation on us, Lord God, as we move forward with the great vision of this city. We pray for each commissioner. We pray for the mayor, Lord God. We pray for the clerk and our city manager, Lord God, and each director and staff that's here participating. Let this be a blessed meeting, Lord God, for the progress and the wealth of the city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're gonna first start off with our public comments. Public comments are open. Madam Clerk, do we have any online comments or write-ins?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Public comments is open. Public comments is closed. So I'll turn it over into the hands of our city manager, who would then go ahead and introduce Mr. Anderson.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will turn this over to Mr. Robert Anderson, our budget administrator. We also have all of our department heads here, so if you have any questions to go into detail, they will be available to answer any questions and discuss their budget as well. Mr. Anderson?
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Bob Anderson Budget. Welcome to the initial round, first workshop of FY26 budget. I've experienced a lot of rejection in my life, but I've never had so many people turn their backs on me at once. I feel safer behind them. Yes. Okay. We've tried to make good use of your time. We've tried to streamline this a little bit, so we're going to use a slightly different process than we've used in prior years. As you're going to see, the budget presentation that I'm going to do up front is broken in two parts. I'm going to cover the various funds so you get a sense of the overall fiscal health of the city. Then we're going to go through each of the each of the divisions. For the divisions, I will hit the high points. If you have any questions, all the department heads are ready to answer those questions. And then at the end, we'll have a session. I will need to work on two things. One will be commission travel. Second one will be special events, and possibly also millage rate. Okay. I think I pushed something that wasn't intended.
Why are you doing that, Mr. Anderson?
Yes, sir.
Madam Manager, is there a different budget book? Because
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Can I address that? There were minor changes.
no, that's not my question. So my question is more detailed, because a lot of these things are general fund. I have other, no, not general fund. Yeah, general fund revenue. So I have other, but it's nothing there.
What
So
page are you referring to?
8, like a breakdown of what that other is. And that's in a lot of departments. You have other.
So all of the departments do have a other line item, but once we get to those departments, they can explain to you what normally comes from those other line items.
Right.
If I may add to that, there are not other lines for revenue. What there are is for each of the divisions, there is a line called other. It's part of your backup. We can flip to it if you want to actually explore what's in there. So we'll do that.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, what we're talking about is the timeline. The timeline that we're talking about is as on the screen. This is a workshop today. We do have a requirement for a second workshop. I said tentative. It's going to be sometime in the next 2 weeks for the moment. I've just shown it for Tuesday, the 15th. On the 23rd at the second budget meeting of the month, you will have to adopt a budget that is to be submitted to the state by the 31st of July, and also a millage rate. The state will take a look at it. We'll come back in August, either accepting it or providing guidance. You will have 2 hearings in September to either accept the state's guidance or to possibly modify it. If you choose that, it will then go back to the state for another review. If you accept the state's guidance, it does not have to be resubmitted to the state. There will be a submission of a presentation to you all of a 5-year plan in October. There are no questions on that, I'll move on. Agenda, as I said, breaks into 3 parts, actually, 4 parts, actually. I'm going to cover the highlights very quickly. I'm going to take you through a fund overview so that you get a sense of the overall fiscal health of the city. Then we're going to go through each of the divisions. We have objectives and then the expense. And Mayor, to your point, in each of the divisional budgets, there is a line called Other. And that line picks up all the things like office supplies and so forth and so on. If any of the commissioners wish to explore it, it's in your backup and we'll flip to that page for discussion. So it will be there. After that, completion of the divisions, we'll have a discussion on special events, commission travel, and also millage rate. Okay, the highlights that we have in the budget right now, we've recommended a 2% reduction in the millage rate to 8.9797. I'll explain the rationale for that recommendation as we get further in. Other good news is we will have paid off the county water debt as of August. So we'll no longer have $1.5 million burden on the water sewer fund each month. You'll see a plan that has $11.4 million of capital proposed for next year. I will tell you it's somewhat constrained due to funding limitations, and we'll have that discussion. As you all know, one of the very big items that we're just starting to work on now is the installation of the state-of-the-art financial system, the ERP, and that discussion has in fact started this week. Budget includes the Arabian Night Festival at first in 2 decades, and the proposal at the moment is to combine that with the city's 100th birthday in May. One concern of the commission has been whether the ARPA funds will be fully expended. They will be fully expended. The government will not get any funds back from us. Cairo Lane project, which has been a problem for many years, will be completed by the end of this budget. And one additional piece of information, you will have budget proposes 5 additional patrol officers. The reason you get 5 is because you have a COPS grant that will give you 2 more than we had in the last year's budget. We will also have 2 more. There's been a reorganization proposed where its recommendation is to take out the assistant chief, and that salary will in fact be sufficient for 2 new patrol officers. So you take 1 position, make 2 out of it, and then an additional patrol officer will come from converting 1 detective position into a patrol position. So a total of 5 over what was in the FY25 budget. You'll see more highlights as we look at each of the divisions. Any questions on that, please? Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you make it clear to me and to my colleagues here? You say before that the project from Cairo Lane is gonna be finished by the end of the next year budget 26.
Yes, sir.
Why? Why? If that money is there from before, and we already be, fighting to ending with that project. I don't understand that.
It has been bogged down in permitting and design, and for the first time they're able to move ahead with construction.
Yeah, last night, if we are not making a mistake here, because if I made a mistake, I'm gonna go back up. But listen to me, I heard last night that we almost gonna started to do, started today working in Caroline like 5 months ago. We be hitting the same thing, and we don't see anything yet there. And now we have here for the 26th by the end on the 20. It's nothing to laughing. It's something
No,
serious.
sir,
And this
I'm
is
laughing
project for the
because
city,
you're getting the
and not
expert.
representing the people from outside.
You're getting the expert up to talk to you right now, sir.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commission. Adelina Gross, CIP Manager. Cairo Lane project is a very detailed, long project that we have to comply with many requirements from the county, the state, and also we need to meet all guidelines for safety since that's an industrial zone that has been deemed as a dump area, basically. That's a lake field. For a stormwater and drainage project, it's gonna take a lot of time for us to get into compliance while construction. We have started working. We have started cleaning. We have started cleaning the existing drainage. We have been doing the water main. We have been doing the sewer lines. You don't see full construction because we are still missing permits for the county and some permissions to move forward, but we have been starting working since February this year.
Commissioner, if you don't mind, he's going over the highlights. When we get to the CIP budget, we'll then let her go into more detail at that time. But I want us to actually start the budget process because right now we're yeah.
Yeah, okay. The
Yeah,
only
we're
thing that I
going-
want to know if because that project go for long, and I don't know that we have to go after next year to finish Wendy and get more money for that. It's okay.
So
Right.
I ask her.
Keep
to-
on going.
Yeah, Mr. Bob, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And it says it's going to be completed by the end of fiscal 26. It will not be completed by the end of fiscal 25. If there are no other questions on this page, I'll move on. The city overview. This is a very important chart, and it will be a theme that I think you'll see repeated throughout this presentation. I'd like to bring your attention to a couple numbers on that slide. First off, I'm going to start at the top right with the head count. Overall, you're talking about 6, and that's basically in the police department. A couple of the other divisions had +1, +1, -1, but essentially it's 6 is all embodied in the police department. If I can take you down to the various numbers, what I'd ask you to look at first is in the FY25 forecast, you can see a funding number of 62 million and an expenditure number beneath it of 75 million, use of fund balance of $13 million. Going into FY25, we believe, based on the latest audit, that the city had an overall fund balance of $35 million. In 25, we believe we're going to use about 13 million of that. That'll give us a closing balance of 22 million. Then look at the same numbers fuel for 26. And by the way, if I can just digress for a second, as you all know, at the turn of the decade, the city had a large fund balance, basically from monies that were accumulated and not spent. It's not intended that the city sit on that money, and rightly so. Since then, the city has been using that fund balance for various capital projects. The point I'm trying to make here is by the time we get to FY 2026, you can see that we have a funding of 68 million and an expenditure of 80 million, which says we're going to use another $11 million of fund balance. That is all for capital projects. The city has had, up to now, the city has had the luxury of being able to fund their operations through the new revenue of the year and fund their capital projects through their fund balance. We're now getting to the point where we've got the fund balance back to the levels it's supposed to be, and that's going to allow for more strict budgets going forward, as you'll see today. Is there any questions on that concept? I'll point out the 10 million at the closing balance for FY26 basically is the minimum requirement we're meant to retain. This is a standard chart I use each year just to familiarize everybody with how we organize our funds. The upper left-hand column corner is the operating funds. The operating funds are where we generate the primary source for essentially all of our revenue. The operating funds are used to fund the operations within those funds, also to fund the internal service funds in the top right, and also to fund the CIP down below. In the lower right-hand corner, you have very small funds, which I'll take you through very quickly. Debt service will cease to exist at the end of FY26. It was there to fund the FY 2011, 2015 bonds. Those will both be paid off by the end of next year. People Transportation Plan is a fund that is funded by both the county, CITT that is, and also the Florida Department of Transportation. Town Center is a small fund, which it makes some money from rent, and the rest is funded by the general fund. The police special funds, we'll take a look at those, and ARPA essentially be gone at the end of this year. I'm sorry, end of this FY26. No questions on that page, I'll move on.
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor Kelly?
from the original document you gave us to this one, I see some couple of changes in the Safe Neighborhood CIP and the Water and Sewer CIP. One went down and one went up. What was the change in that?
Mr. Vice Mayor, I had several last minute changes. I do not have them at fingertips. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay, and I see the same thing in the general fund and the water sewer operating fund.
Yes, sir.
right?
There was some late breaking news on some software and
I
so
can
forth.
hear you.
There was some late breaking news on software and things like that that I had to get in to give it more complete picture.
Late breaking news?
Yes, sir. Last minute. I got it over the 4th of July weekend. Very late breaking.
Okay, so you're gonna get that to us.
Yes, sir. I will
all right,
work
thank you.
backwards and
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
yeah, so the intention, apparently that was my error. The intention of the numbers presented last week were tended to be presented as a work in progress rather than an end result.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. General fund, sorry, I forgot to move you on. Next page, general fund overview. I'm sorry, I'm taking a minute here because the microphone keeps hitting me in the eye. The items that I'd like to bring to your attention here, again, I'm sorry, I went to one page, turned too fast. I apologize on that. The things I'd like to bring to your attention here are really the same story that we saw in the city overview. You can see in FY25 that we do use $2.5 million. This is the number in the lower right where it says use of fund balance. We do use $2.5 million. We believe we're going to use $2.5 million of fund balance. That will start to pull down our available fund balance for FY26. The fund balance that was used, again, was primarily for capital. And you see in FY26, we use a little bit more because now all of a sudden we have less fund balance available. And you see that in terms of less transfer out to capital. So in this one, we are approaching the point where we really should not be going below the $5 to $5.5 million. So what that says for next year, we're really going to have to look and see what trade-offs you want to make between operating expenditures and capital. Are there any questions on that page? On we go. Okay, very quickly, general fund is where the funding, oops, I forgot to move it. There we go. The revenue, primary source of revenue, as you well can believe, is the property tax, and about to share with you some very good news on that. I will bring to your attention one of the large numbers for FY26 is a number down here where it says transfer inbounds from debt service. That is larger than usual. Next year, the revenues that were coming into that debt service fund will probably go directly into the general fund. It will be in the range of 5 million rather than 6.7 million. So that's going to be a minor setback as we move into FY27 in terms of revenue that becomes available to us. did not come out very well. I don't know what happened to the coloring on that. It certainly, hopefully is not anything that you see that way. Those are meant to be solid blue columns. It certainly is in my handout, and I'm assuming it is in yours.
Mayor.
Vice Mayor Kelly?
Yes, before you go to that page,
Yes, sir.
property tax, 14.7 proposed in, next year 16.
Yes, sir.
We
With,
expect to
with
see
the,
a 1.2 increase in property tax revenue because of,
which we're just about to look at. It's at the recommended millage rate of 8.9797, which is a 2% reduction over the current year.
okay,
And-
so although, all right,
And the next page is the reason for that increase. This is based on what the county has provided for us for tax purposes as of July 1st. I'll explain this very quickly. Again, I apologize how it got discolored here. What it shows is the property tax base each year going back to 2020 up to current year. Again, these are numbers from the property appraiser. These are tax base after CRA adjustment. We lose about $250 million of tax base from CRA. The number I've shown you after adjustment is 1.88 billion. With the CRA,
you
it
say
would,
250 million?
yes, sir.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
In the tax base,
50 million?
yes, sir, in the tax base.
Okay,
If
thank
I had shown you the before the CRA adjustment, the number you'd see there instead of 1.88 would be 2.12. That,
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Oh, no, they
I'm
told
sorry.
me that by the end I had to ask a question, not now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
The,
that's what you say.
That is not what I said.
Oh.
That is absolutely not what I said.
Oh, can I ask you the question now?
Mhm.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I always have to be sure that I do the right thing. Something that I see here is maybe it's me that I really not see anything, changes in the next year budget. This year with right now, the 25, we receive from the taxpayer 40,787,968 dollars.
that's the correct number after we have contributed a TIF payment to the CRA.
No, but this is the money that we have for the 25.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
That's correct.
and now by the next year, the 26, we're gonna have some increase for over $1 million to 99.
Yes, sir, correct.
Okay, and this is out of the cut that we're gonna do for the 2% in the millage rate.
That, with the recommended millage rate of a 2% reduction, that would be the resultant number. Yes, sir.
Okay, and this is my question. It's not me that I want to make my residents, to keep them pay, because no matter what they pay, I made some comparison here between the millage rate that we're gonna reduce, but really, we do fines and tickets, to properties and everything here in the city, and I think, and I believe, for the next year we're gonna collect in that $2 million, $126,000.
And fines
Oh,
and forfeiture, yes, sir.
Or I'm
I-
reading wrong.
No, so you're reading it correct, and I will tell you.
Fine, the fines is me. That's tickets that they are giving to the properties and all that. No,
It's first and foremost red light cameras.
red light cameras.
Yes, sir. And I will tell you, I've got a very conservative number in there because we've had a problem with that. It has not been resolved. I've used a number of 1.2 million out of the 2.1 you're looking at there. That is much lower. If all the cameras operate, it would be a much healthier number. The problem is going to take a while to resolve. And even once it gets resolved, there's a lead time. When cameras start to work again, then they don't get to court for another 90 days when we see the revenue.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, by the end of your presentation, I think that we can, talking about the millage rate reduction. After that, we're not gonna make no more comment for now. But I love to touch something in this.
Yes, sir.
About that.
No,
Thank you.
however, I'm ready to answer any questions whenever it comes up. We were looking at this page, and again, what this says is after the CRA adjustment, there is a 12.3% increase over last year. That has very positive benefits for the city. In comparison to well, let me reset to the before CRA adjustment. That would have been a 13.2% increase. That is compared to the county overall of 8.7. So the city continues to be a spot where there's a lot of new activity. 1% of the growth came from new additions, approximately $14 million. The rest of it came from additions from just people selling their properties or just market growth in general. I'm going to digress very quickly on the CRA. By losing the growth on the CRA, the city ends up making a $2.1 million contribution to the CRA to do what they think is appropriate. You give up control on that, but in addition to the 2.1 million contribution that the city makes, county also makes a $1 million. So that's one of the virtues of having the CRA. You get an extra piece of revenue from the county. So long story short, we had very high growth, and at the 2.92, I'm sorry, at the 8.9797 rate, it would get to the revenue that you saw on the previous page. Any questions on this page? This is the I don't know why the graphics are just disintegrating on this thing. Okay. Anyhow, this is the recommendation to go to 8.9797. For the first time in many years, it takes the city below the 9.0 threshold. Any questions on this page?
Okay, so Mr. Anathan, I do want to say I do appreciate the drop in the millage. Because we've been fighting for that forever and a day. So for us to be under 9 point whatever in many years, because we've had the highest millage rate forever. So with 1% millage rate reduction equals $160,000
On the top line, yes, sir.
on the top line.
Yes, sir.
And your proposal is to decrease it by 2%
Yes, sir.
for this 1 year, and then going forward, we will explore decreasing it.
Again, it's a recommendation for this year, and it's up to the diocese to do as they think appropriate. Point I was trying to make is on some of the prior pages, we're getting to the point where to do CIP, we're not going to have the fund balance available to us that we had historically. So when decisions are made here, it impacts the trade-off of what's going to be left
No,
for.
I got that.
Yes, sir.
I got that. Okay. All right.
And I apologize for the graphics. I have no idea why it's doing that.
All right.
Okay, no questions of that. We'll move on. General fund expenditures. Very quickly, you can see the compensation is up. Compensation is up. You have a minor increase in headcount, but basically you had a vacancy rate of 23% for this year. The budget assumes no vacancies for next year. So that's one of the drivers of your growth. The operating expense is a mixture of things. It has in it, well, if I can share with you some of the key things in there, although we'll cover them with the various divisions as well. Within operating expense, we have special events for Arabian Nights city birthday, $280,000.
Repeat the number. Dr. Bass actually repeat that.
$280,000 is in the budget.
200 what?
$280,000.
80,000, you say, bro.
For next year.
What is?
Yes, sir.
I guess
Yes, sir. You'll see.
Does
Yes,
that number combine the birthday and
yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what
Yes,
you-
I think I did say that. It was a combination birthday and Arabian Nights.
That's what you said you want us to go into later on in the.
Yes, sir.
presentation.
That's going to be part of special
Got it.
events at the end of the day.
Got it.
Okay. Other things we have in there are going to be police vehicles. It's going to be necessary to lease an additional 11 patrol vehicles. We have 22 coming off lease. 4 of them are going to be used to convert into PSA vehicles. 6 of them are going to be put in place as a reserve fleet when we have a breakdown, the primary vehicles. And to staff the 51 sworn, it's going to take 11 additional. So that's one of the reasons you have the increase in operating expense.
Okay, Mr. Anderson, to the manager, and I asked this when we had our one-on-ones. about the police vehicles. 22 off lease, are we gonna own these afterwards?
Yes, we will own them.
We will own it, but then
We
we're
will still
gonna
need
purchase
additional.
additional.
Yes, sir. At the moment, we have 43 patrol vehicles. You've got
To include the PSA vehicles.
what they didn't start out as PS vehicles. 4 of them will be converted to PSA vehicles.
Now you're gonna open that up because we knew it's gonna be a long discussion. I was trying to wait till you get to that point, because
Cause he said it. All right.
I know it's,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a lengthy
So
discussion,
let's-
so I'm trying to let
come
you
on,
get
come
through
on.
this little
Can we?
part here before I get into the specifics.
They're gonna be
Just like-
replacing
Can
soon.
we skip the overview and go straight into the budget, Mr. Anderson?
Uh,
'Cause I think everybody has questions on the budget.
Yes,
but
sir.
You're giving us overviews.
We're here to
Let's
provide
dive in.
whatever, okay.
Let's dive in.
Then,
Mr. Mayor, before he goes over, here, since he's on this page, the compensation that's going up, and I know this is a 2 million increase. I'm assuming, let me assume, the thinking is you're building in something for contracts, union contracts, negotiations. et
yes,
cetera.
sir. The increases are based on union contracts either in place or to be in place.
Okay, because you're in negotiation with whatever, so, okay.
Yes, sir.
Does any of this compensation increase projected include non-union folks?
Yes, sir. Non-union folks will get increases based on their evaluations each year.
Okay, thank you. Now you can, let's go open up and dive in and
Yeah, let's dive in, Mr. Anderson.
I think I heard a desire to go to the individual divisions. I would ask you to turn to page 25. Can we go to page 25, please? Thank you. It's now on the screen. We'll move on. These are the various divisions within the general fund. There's no point to be made here, it's kind of a stage setting. It gives you an idea of the impact of each of the divisions in the general fund. So unless somebody has a particular question on this, I'm going to move on.
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor?
thank you. In the division that you have laid out here, I mentioned a little bit last night, but since I see it here under the housing and social services, we haven't really spent a whole lot. And you're proposing 278 and 26. Now that's not proposed carryover. That's new
Yes, they're all new.
and based on projections of whatever we're going to do.
It's just it's an effort to put something in place, given that we don't directly know what skills are going to be involved and what programs the manager would bring with him or with her.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Mayor.
So what we have with the commission, I'll take you through the points. In fact, there's a $30 differential will go away. That's something in the 4th decimal place. Travel, we have in there at $40,000. We'd like to defer that till the end of the meeting, or not to the end, but after the formal presentation of each of the divisions, have a discussion of that. I have a separate handout on that. And unless you have any other questions about any of the other numbers on this page, I will move on. This is an example, by the way, as you can see, there is another line there at the bottom just before total operating expense. If you were to want to see it, we would move to page 78. I'm going to assume not unless I hear otherwise. Again, the effort was to streamline this to focus on the major financial impacts in each division. And that's why we lumped together the other. If there's an interest, we can go to page 78 in a heartbeat. I'm sorry, was that yes or no?
Yeah, page 7. Yeah, I am too, so
Page what?
78. the
Well,
breakdown.
I'll put 78, we'll put 78 on the screen right now. Page 78, please. There it is.
Oh, I said, the office supplies and uniforms.
Yes,
for
sir.
Commission.
It's all the small things
Employee
that
training, okay.
don't have a major impact on the financial
Got it. Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
Come back to page 27, please. Thank you. Any other questions on the commission budget? Again, with travel to be discussed further.
What was the issue with the travel?
It has to be resolved. For example, having worked through all of the purchase orders for this year, it looks like there's 15 separate trips that have been or will be completed. There are requests for 32 trips for next year. And I just need to bring that to your attention so we can reconcile that.
Okay, so what direction are you asking from the commission?
A discussion and hopefully some guidance and consensus as to where you want to go on it.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner. Lou, thank you.
Yeah, like, I love that, the question that you do. What do you want the commissioner to do with that? To not traveling? To cut it out,
I would ask the commission to look at the number within the context, of the entire
Uh-huh.
budget, and decide how much they want to spend on it.
Okay, how much have you spent this
Okay.
year?
The numbers I can find, and again, I don't have all the numbers because some of it is not in the accounts yet, but it looks like 22,000 either expended or encumbered.
For everyone
Yes, sir.
throughout the whole?
Yes, sir. And that's for 15 trips as opposed to 31 trips that have been signed up for or requested for next year.
Oh, good, very good.
Which is an increase of $10,000.
It's the number I worked up today is based on this. Again, some of the things that people wanted to go to were hard to find. So I had to model them on what I could find from this year's experience. When I did that, I ended up with a number which is close to $47,000, even though I have 40 here at the moment. Again, that's a number to be resolved, hopefully at the end of this meeting, by the end of this meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I'm a little nervous with this. Keep in question, it's question, don't think it's something else, but let me say this, okay? We're talking about the commissioner right now in that point.
Yes,
But
sir.
let me, let me make some comment because I see something here that is really, have my concern about expense. We're talking about, what we try to do is, reduce some expense like that we can balance the budget, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
That-
I'm
that-
right, no? Okay. One other thing that I see here though, our city manager, if I not make a mistake, our city manager, that she work here, I believe 24 hours always. That's not a concern?
No, we're not on her yet.
We're not yet. Oh, well, no, but I want to make some comparison here about, the money that we are spending in other departments. That I believe, everybody deserves to understand that if we cut out for this and for that side, we have to go to the really center things that we have here in the city that we're spending a lot of money. And one of these, let me tell you, they don't want me to asking question now, but it's going to be no matter what, because
Yes,
I want
sir.
to know, okay, how can we reduce some amount of money that we be paying in the city, okay, for some of the departments, okay? And I'm talking about, let me start it with something here. City attorney, we pay by next year, we're going to pay in $500,000.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Again-
that's a
Again,
projected,
if
okay.
it's the will of the commission that the budget be reduced, all we can do is come back with a set of options and say, where would you like
Yeah,
to?
auction, that's what we had to come with an auction,
Yes, sir.
okay, to see
Yes,
so
sir.
we can make, this administration better in the budget, okay, to balance the budget,
Yes, sir.
okay.
M-
And
Mr.
we're gonna
Mayor.
start in with the commissioners,
Co-
okay, thank you, no more, that's it.
Commissioner Irvin?
I was just gonna say, if we can just stay on,
He's going department by department. So right now, wherever you want to
Okay,
make your suggestions to decrease, this is the time to do it. So right now we're on the commission. And then after that, we're going to the city manager, then non-department clerk, so on and so forth. But we're still on the commission. And what he was asking was, as it relates to travel, you projected $47,000 for travel, but that's with us taking 32 trips
Yes, sir.
altogether.
And you will see those details, and where I may have overestimated a number, I certainly welcome the feedback.
Okay,
We'll look at that at the end of the day.
that's what you want us to do. Wait until
Yes,
the
sir.
end. Perfect. So the next department will be the city manager's department, right?
Correct. Yes, sir. So the city manager's department is a very straightforward set of numbers. The only thing I'll bring to your attention, well, maybe two things. No, just one thing, actually. You see a reduction of 4, that actually reflects 4 of us being transferred from the city manager's department to the finance department. So it's not a major reorganization. There is a minor reorganization there. I'll leave it at that. Any questions on the city manager's cost budget?
Mr. Mayor, I know the, thank you. I know the, proposed going down, but is this inclusive of, the planning person or whatever? I don't know what those titles are. Is that what that's inclusive of?
The event planner is included.
In fact, 2 event planners are included and an executive secretary has been taken out.
Okay, so executive secretary is taken out. You got 2, event planners.
Yes, sir. So the net reduction is 4, which reflects myself, the grants administrator, the purchasing officer, and a senior budget analyst, moving from that city manager's office to the finance department.
As a part of that count, there's what, one, assistant city manager or proposed
So this number is for 2.
assistant city managers?
Yes.
On the same level?
Yes.
Okay, that's the end department. I won't bother that one. Okay. But okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem, Vice Mayor.
Non-department, a couple things happen here. I'll bring your attention to other professional services. It includes a lobbyist for $120,000, a citywide fee study for $100,000. That's all fees other than utility rate fees, and then grant support of $45,000. Within contract services, we've got the community newspaper for $40,000 and miscellaneous for another $25,000 to be determined as the year progresses. Here you can see down at the bottom, you can see the reduction in the transfer out to the Safe Neighborhood CIP. That's the issue we've been talking about all along. The general fund is now constrained in what it can support in the way of CIP.
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor.
you mentioned, thank you. You mentioned the other contracted services and professional services.
Yes, sir.
I noticed one is 31,000 less, and you mentioned about the, well, I guess newspaper and what else?
Newspaper, at the moment, we have $25,000 because things always pop up. They end up in the non-department fund. So at the moment, it's not defined. It's there as a miscellaneous item.
Okay, and what did you base that on? How much you based for a newspaper?
I believe it was, I forget, by resolution, it was not to exceed $40,000.
No, that didn't,
Was that not a
that
resolution?
didn't,
Was that not a
occur,
resolution?
because it was gonna come up in the budget process. I'm just asking what was the 40,000 based on just what came out of that?
I thought there was an
proposed
agenda
legislation?
item that said not to.
Yes, there was an agenda item. It was not, the
Okay.
commission deferred it.
Really first.
But there was a dollar amount and it was $40,000. And that's where you got that number from.
That's what, that
That's
was
where you
what I
got that
based that on.
amount from?
Yes, sir. I've lost track of whether it actually went forward or not.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I said I lost track as to whether it actually went
And
forward
you
or
had
not.
25,000 in there as miscellaneous?
Yes, just because something pops up way too often. It's undefined. It's, if you don't want it, it can be taken out.
Okay, I'll stick a pin right there for the moment. Okay.
Okay.
And the transfer out on the Safe Neighborhood CIP.
Yes, sir.
I see that difference there. Is there a reason why for that different amount? That's
You're talking about the reduction, sir?
right.
Yeah, the reduction goes back to what we were talking about beginning of the meeting. We've got the fund balance of general fund down to the level we hit all the numbers in this budget, the general fund balance will be down to a level below which we should not go just for best practices. We should try and keep 60 days of cash or at least fund balance available just in case. That's best practices. So
So basically fiscal constraint.
fiscal constraint, exactly. Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. And Mr. Bob.
Yes, sir.
Piggyback on Vice Mayor. You talked about grant services. How much was that?
I put $45,000 and we did not use them extensively this year. I certainly plan to. As you can see, we have a desperate need for grant money. And so I've increased that to 45,000.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions on non-department? Hearing none, I'll move on. So what we've done for a lot of the departments is to put, before we get into the financials, we put down the what they wanted to accomplish for next year. And this is the first time you'll see it for a department. You see the city clerk right here. The important ones certainly is the increase of a commission aid. And one more is proposed in the plan. Other one is the work that's being done, the study that's been done, and will be actually effectuated at this point in terms of record management and destruction of obsolete records.
Okay.
Good on objectives? Okay. So having said that, you can see it. You can't see it because I haven't moved on. My bad. Now you can see it, hopefully. You can see the increase of one for the department. That's the commission aid we just talked about. And you can see other contracted services up. That is the process of actually either storing remotely or destroying a warehouse full of obsolete records. Are there any other questions on this particular division? Otherwise, I'll move on.
The only question that I have or concern, I see that we're bringing in another aid if the commission so chooses to approve it, but then the furniture, you all decreased it. And I know you have to convert your office, Madam Clerk.
I had that conversation with Mr. Anathan. I'm not sure if he was able in time to make those changes. Because originally I had proposed a commission aid, 3 actually additional aids, and only one is being proposed. I spoke with Mr. Anathan after that with regards to the furniture and also computer equipment that comes along with that position. So I'm not sure if he had the opportunity to include additional funds, but we did have that conversation.
All right, because it was decreased by $5,000. That's why.
Yes, sir.
I brought it
No,
up.
she did bring it to my attention. I did not bring it in at this point. So the 1,500 is not for that alone. Or I'm sorry, will not be sufficient for outfit a new office.
So there will be that dollar amount. will
It'll
change.
go up slightly, yes, sir.
All right, Madam,
Question. I see that, it's proposed for 6 and it's just one more and it's $141,819.
Yes, ma'am. Well, you had some vacancies this year. So what you're looking at is a forecast of this year, which one or more positions were open during some portion of the year. Again, it goes back to when we looked at the general fund, I said, hey, you've got a lot of increase there. The budget for the general fund assumes 100%, it assumes no vacancies for FY26. For FY25, it's about a 32% vacancy rate for all the general fund, of which part of it was from the clerk's office.
that answer your question?
Not really. I'm just
Oh.
making sure that it's just a big jump. So you're saying it's because.
It's partly a vacancy, and if you'll also remember right, that the city clerk was granted an
Increase.
increase. Yes, ma'am.
And you also have to take in account that I believe this also includes benefits that's associated
Okay.
with
Certainly.
that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a full compensation number, wages and benefits.
Vice Mayor?
I'm not sure if it falls in this category, but I'm gonna ask this question because I get challenges. Is there anything within your budget or need to be in your budget that will well, this own this is not, deal with or help with the public records requests. I get so many complaints about public records requests not being addressed timely. From your perspective and your budget, is there anything you need to have additional in your budget to make that more efficient?
To answer the question, I think that we have the software, like many other municipalities, use as it relates to the public records requests. On my end, I'm not sure that there's anything that I can do to include in the budget, but most times is the amount of time it's taking to complete these requests. And a lot of these requests go to various departments. It's not just the city clerk's office. So they are reassigned to the appropriate department, and it depends on the time that it takes them to complete those requests. So we do have some issues at times with the length of time that it's taking to complete those requests. But in my opinion, it has nothing to do with, including additional funds in the budget for that. It's just being able to produce those records timely.
Okay, just want to, you got on the record. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, no problem.
City, excuse me, city attorney, basically it's a business as usual. And we have not, there are no unknown major risks out there that have been brought to my attention. So it's more or less a repeat of this year's budget. If no questions, I'll move on. Finance Department, again, a series of objectives. Leading the pack is the installation of the new finance system. Getting the audit in for next year, certainly by June 30th, and setting plans for resuming from the county the utility billing and collection that the county is currently doing for us. Any questions on that page?
What kind of question we can ask?
Commissioner
Yeah,
Santiago.
no, it's
'cause
good.
let's
Because I want to learn.
I don't
something.
want to be combative and go back and forth
Yeah.
with you. Nobody is
Mhm.
trying to stop you from talking or stop you from asking a question. But we
Okay.
were saying that he was going through the overview and he was going to address those when he got to the department. I was asking you to hold off for that particular department until we actually got there. Nobody's
Okay.
trying to stop you from talking, so please stop saying that because you say that quite often. Nobody's trying to mute you. So if you have a question, this is the time to ask it.
Thank you.
You have the floor.
Yeah, can we go back to the page before?
City attorney?
Yeah, see that anything?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay. Explain it to me a little bit about the expenses that we have here.
You've got three lines there. The top line is for outside legal support, and it also includes things like taking depositions, so forth. The city attorney also gets involved in litigation on behalf of the city. That's billed separately. And then the city attorney has what I call a retainer of $22,000 per month. Those are the three lines in that budget.
And that return it is for go outside and fighting in favor of the city to see if we don't lose any cases out there.
That is what the second line is, city attorney litigation. And in doing that, she may engage an outside law firm to also do that.
Yeah, and in the question that I asking you, okay, that's including no matter what we lose it or not. I mean, we have any case that we win? No, you don't have the answer. Okay, okay, all right.
To basically,
Let's continue with it.
yes, sir.
Thank you. Let's continue.
So these were the finance department's biggest objectives. If there's no question to that, we'll move on to the numbers. You can see an increase of 3. Again, that is the 4 people moving out of the city manager's office into the finance department, plus the savings of one additional cashier position was not utilized. You've got some large numbers in there. You've got professional services. You've got internal audit support of $300,000 in contract services. You've got 39,000 for payroll payroll services from ADP. And then the additional money is for a temporary employee to assist with the ERP conversion. Any other questions on this department that I can answer?
Mr. Bob.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, who's that?
It's I. Me.
Commissioner, you're Commissioner Bass, go ahead.
Thank you. To our city manager, where the financial, the budget objectives, developing plans to resume our utility billing and collection responsibilities. That is something that I think that we should be looking into, but I'm concerned at the same time because knowing that according to the Miami-Dade County people downstairs, a large amount of our meters are not working correctly. So with us resuming what we did previously, are we prepared financially to replace water meters and all that other stuff?
The intent is not for us to resume our own water billing service within this budget.
Okay.
In the future, yes, we would like to do that, but it's not captured in this budget because like you said, we are not prepared for that at this time.
Okay. I was just looking where it says to develop plans to resume.
Ms. Can you elaborate on that? That's
Good afternoon, Naeem again, Director of Finance. So we don't have the technology, the personnel, the equipment, the database, trust in the numbers to come over from the county to consume and resume that service in-house, not in fiscal year 26. As City Manager referenced, yes, future, absolutely. We need to bring that back in, but not in fiscal year 26.
I thought so, but I
Ma'am.
just asked that question based on what I read.
Sure, yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
And Ms. Gant, before you leave the
Sure.
podium,
Mhm.
so, and I brought this up in our one-on-one, so I know we talked about we're doing the efficiency audit now, which would pass a couple weeks ago. But something always comes up as it relates to our audits. So do we have a cushion there just in case? So we got another auditor, or we gotta hurry them up, or we are in the financial oversight, and it's just like every year, something comes up in the finance department.
The only thing that we do have would be use of some temporary staffing to perform some immediate functions
Mhm.
as a result of the efficiency audit. But no, sir, beyond that, we don't have anything else cushioned per se.
Okay, so is there a possible way to ask you about this, that put something in place?
I'll work with Ms.
Okay.
Gant and Mr. Anathan to.
Because we don't know what the findings are going to be, so maybe we have to hire a consultant, or maybe we have to do some emergency. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure the city is prepared, we're proactively thinking,
Yes.
okay.
Mr. Mayor, I just asked one question as well. Oh, you could, wait.
Okay. In our one-on-ones, we talked about the credit card fee. I would like to see that being passed on to the people that are, because it's a convenience fee.
Yes.
You get a concert ticket, it starts out at 100, by the time you finish is at 150 with all the fees. And right now, we're paying the fees, not the
Consumer.
consumer. So I would like for this to be passed on to them and not
Okay.
us suck up that expense
Okay.
if we can. If we can. Okay.
I think you
would
just
be-
found your cushion.
There it is.
Yes.
Go ahead.
My question is, I just want to make sure that we are fully equipped in your department.
Mhm.
Are we?
Yes, we are.
Okay. good.
We actually started the transition to, well, not transition, but conversion to our new financial software with all hands on deck this week.
And you would be able to maintain the bodies as well?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Is that with a consultant, or that's straight you?
What's the question?
The ERP system, you said the conversion, who's
Oh,
the consultant is doing that, or
The consultants have nothing to do with the conversion. It's all staff.
all staff?
Yes.
So we're in the preliminary. They just started on Monday, and what they're doing now is meeting with staff. So it's all
Got it.
staff.
Yeah.
But when it's time to actually have hands on deck, the intent will be to have a temporary employee to assist, so all of our staff
Yeah.
will not be pulled away. Yes.
Okay. I have one more question. I'm sure I know the answer, I just don't remember. How many bodies are in your department?
13?
13.
13,
Okay,
yes.
good.
Mhm.
All right, any other questions for the finance director?
Mayor,
Vice Mayor Kelly?
mine is not really more, well, I just want to confirm again, because I mentioned to the manager and to the finance director, I want us to be able to get to a point where we can, apply for the, certification, I call it credentials, it's very good, that shows your finance department is where it needs to be. And I know there are layers of it, and I think, where we are now, I asked the manager to go ahead and to, put in for that, because it'll go a long way in showing not only the public, but those who may be interested in investing in the city, that financially we're heading in the right direction in terms of finance. So I'm glad to hear, that we're going to be working towards that, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Yep.
Mayor.
Absolutely.
Ms.
That's a
Gant,
good thing. I didn't know
Yes.
that.
just to echo on what Vice Mayor was saying, can you give a little bit of information because you did do some
Sure.
research on that?
Yes, so we had resurfaced the protocol, and we have between October 1 and December 1 essentially to submit that application so that they can review our budget document. It's called the GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. And the city had received it for several years in the past, so we will revive that process, and I think we'll be in a good position to be recognized.
All right.
Very good.
Okay.
You get to prop it up, Mr. Mayor.
Huh?
That's one of the things, the mayor, you get to prop up.
That's what I'm saying.
I did it for years. I know.
No, you're talking about budget.
Mr.
I'm
Mayor,
impressed.
is that a state recognition or?
She was asking, is it state rate?
That's national. That's
That's
national.
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
national.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I should recognize.
Okay, Miss,
Miss HR, Ms. Your finance lady.
Don't be looking at her.
any other questions of the finance department before we move on to HR? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Gay. I'm sorry.
Okay, moving on, again, a equivalent set of objectives for the HR department. I'll let you look at it very quickly. And if there are no questions on that, I will move on to the next page. The $165,000 is that has the HR director position, as you know, is outsourced, and that is what that number represents. Other contract services include ADP HR services, $17,000, the youth summer program of $50,000, and then a collection of a couple smaller ones for $12,700. There are any other questions on this page? Otherwise, I will move on.
I do have one question.
Yes,
I see
sir.
that you did I don't have an issue with it. I just want to see the intent. The employee recognition from 10 to 18.
Yes, sir.
What was it's just,
It was underutilized this year. There are a whole series of, there's a PW week, there is a police week,
okay,
a police night.
all right.
Those were not necessarily executed this year. The
So this year
intention
we
is
start
certainly
recognizing that
to
department.
do
That's
them
the truth.
next year. Yes, sir.
Perfect. And has nothing to do with the budget, but I just want to say, the event that you all had through the HR department with the oh God, the massages,
The
and
health.
the health thing,
Yeah, the health,
the
the
wellness thing,
yes.
that was a really good initiative. So kudos to our HR director and the city manager for doing that. And we never said it, so I just want to say it now. And I'm assuming that's included in the employee recognition.
Well, no, that was no cost to the city.
No cost to the city.
That was no cost to the
Oh
city.
wow, okay, it was a great initiative. Oh, right. And then the other question that I have for HR, I know we do the employee summer program, but then heard that there was another program within the city.
Yes, we did it. We did it last year as well. It's with Miami-Dade County Public Schools.
Are we
And that's
paying for
no
that?
cost to the
That's no
city.
cost to the
No,
city.
no.
Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you. When I had my meeting, the math was off and the human resources, proposed line. Was that corrected?
Vice Mayor, which line are we talking about?
When I had my individual, I indicated that the math was off in terms of some of the numbers. Was those adjustments made?
I believe the numbers as you see them here are as we intend them to be. I can go back and look. I wasn't aware that we had a discrepancy.
Yeah, it was often, well, again, in the first booklet thing you gave me, so maybe you've adjusted since then.
We'll verify this page just to make sure there's no, sometimes a line gets hidden and so forth. It makes the math look a little funky. I don't think it's here, but we'll look for it.
Okay, and under the equipment, well, rentals lease, I think you said it was equipment, but you weren't really sure what that was. What are we talking about with, rentals and
The
leases?
rentals is copier and also the time clocks.
Copy and say it again?
Time clocks, employee time clocks. Checking in, checking out. ADP, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions for our HR director or Mr. Anderson or our manager?
Yes, I did have one. This budget still encompasses, the contracted services?
Yes, that's under other professional services.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Move on.
This was the housing and social services, which was addressed a few minutes ago. Again, it's a first pass on what the budget might look like once that position is filled. Would there be any questions on this particular page?
The only question that I have, Madam Manager, I'm going back to, this is gonna be a new department, new offices. So the furniture, I just don't want it to come up. And then other professional services, what do you mean by that? And other contracted services? 'Cause I don't remember that coming up.
Excuse me 1 second.
Is that page 78?
No, sir, this would be buried in the detail that I have.
What question now?
What does this mean?
Mr. Mayor.
So the question is, other professional, other contracted. I'm thinking that you just put a number in there because you don't know what's going to be needed yet.
Non-specific, I think we may have had one category in mind, but I don't have the documentation with me, which I
Okay.
thought I did.
All right.
So,
That's what I was- but I remember that wasn't there before. Well, all right. Okay. All right. I'm good.
Yes,
Unless,
sir, I think this is a repeat of what was in the FY25 budget.
no, I was talking about our one-on-ones.
Oh, I'm
That's what
sorry.
referring to.
I'm sorry, apologize.
Vice Mayor?
You took out, thank you, you took out the 50,000 under the residential maintenance assistance. You took that out.
Yes, sir, it's in community development at this time.
It's a community development.
Yes, sir, for the moment.
Is there any reason why it was moved to community development?
They both had offered it, and to get rid of the duplicate, we just put the whole amount into community development.
Why would you put something for residential assistance and community development when you've got your housing and social services really designed to deal with the public?
Yes, sir. It could and would be moved at such time that position was filled.
Say it again?
It could and would be moved into this department at such time that position is filled. We can move it there now if that's the will of the commission.
Get moving that now.
Okay,
I know we have not moved as fast as we had liked to actually get it going, but it needs to be inside of there. We can decide later specifically what that is going to entail in terms of assistance. I know sometime that was probably rent or something, but the commission can decide later on. But that line item needs to be inside of the housing and social service division, not in.
yes, sir, understood. Understood.
And Vice Mayor, you?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Madam Manager, I think I asked you this before about the hiring.
Yes. So we are in the recruitment process, reviewing applicants. They have not started the interviews yet. That should be starting soon, but I think they were trying to wait till they get a
Okay, so can we
few
ramp,
applicants.
can we ramp that up? So right now we're doing a soft launch and by the new year, we have it fully ready.
We can, but we do want to, although we have applicants, we want to make sure that they are applicants that can come in here and get that program started and up and running, that has that expertise. So like I say, there are applicants, but a lot of them that applied does not have that previous experience.
Okay, so is it something that we can advertise?
No, it is. It is.
We have
yes.
been advertising
Mhm.
this?
So I'll work with Miss Adams tomorrow and see if we can put it out another way.
And then the head count is still the same. I think you told me it was the department director and an
An
assistant.
assistant.
Okay. All right. Any other questions about the housing and human services? And I totally agree with Vice Mayor. We talked about that too. And
As I noted.
it needs to go back. All right. We're on community development.
Yes, sir. Speaking of community development, there we are. Again, this is a series of objections they have. Leading the pack is annexation application. You'll see in professional fees, a charge for that. Staying on top of this abandoned and foreclosed programs to improve the appearance of the neighborhoods. And again, we have the residential maintenance assistance program here today, gone tomorrow.
But this one, the residential maintenance, this is an additional 50,000. So you're doing it in both departments?
It was in, this department had 100,000 in it. The housing and social services had 50,000. We consolidated at 100,000 and left it in community development.
Okay, so take whatever you're gonna take and put it.
Yes,
back
sir.
in,
Understood.
Mr. Mayor.
This line on objectives just disappeared.
Got it.
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor?
and I'm not suggesting the whole 100,000, but whatever the line item is going to be, it should be in the housing.
Yes, sir. Understood.
I would even venture to say, you could drop it to 75,000, but it go into housing. You still have 25,000, I want to say, that you could utilize somewhere that we might want to determine, but it should be at least, all of it, whatever, should be in housing. So if you got 100,000, you had consolidated for the, assistance, at least 75,000 should be in that housing line item.
Yes, sir. Whatever the consensus is of the commission, that's the number will be there.
Well, I'm saying at least
Yes, sir.
75.
Understood.
Because we know we're talking about a portion that's not, in the CRA if we go that route with that assistant challenge, whatever. I don't know how we're gonna, if we're gonna do it, but it just needs to be in the housing arena. And you know what? I think maybe what should occur, put the whole 100,000.
Yes, sir.
Now we're
Understood.
talking about housing and assistance for our residents. Some of us may come up with some other ideas of how we can help. So just put the whole 100,000.
Ju-
That's my suggestion, Mr. Mayor, and to my colleagues.
Oh, no, we're gonna fight out of me. I just want, and we talked about this on our 101 too, change the name, not residential maintenance assistance grant, just assistance.
Yes, sir.
That way it's open-ended, and then $100,000 we can utilize for, we need money in that department for programming.
Yes, sir.
It
But
might just not be facade, it might just be rental assistance, it might just be helping to pay the water bill, light bill, but we need.
okay, so therefore the word maintenance goes away.
And grant, well,
Well, it is a grant, so,
yeah.
so maintenance goes away, so residential assistance grant. That'll work.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And wait, I'm sorry, last thing, the community historic grant, did we expend all that money for this year? I know we were supposed to pick like 4 houses, that's done. All right, so can we get some pictures to the commission or a presentation or something? No, I mean, not, you don't have to do it now, but I'm saying that we know how, what we paid for. No, Mr. Not now.
I just want to speak on it real quick. That's
Oh.
actually a work in progress.
Okay.
We're going through the contracting of it right now. So there's not actual pictures in place, but there is work being done. So we'll be making a full presentation as it proceeds.
Okay, so that was an FY 25, so it's not carrying over to 26. Right, okay, perfect.
Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Also, with regard to the other professional services, you're proposing 318,000. I know in my initial meeting, it was possible projects that had environmental assessments, but it wasn't clear on what those might be. Have we kind of figured out what they may be, or that's just a general number that you've come up with?
Yes,
Because
sir.
it's
Well,
under
that
professional
was one of the,
services.
that was one of the changes from the presentation we gave you last week. We took that number down from 150 to 50,000 as a placeholder. In there right now, you have the annexation consultant for 125,000. You got an environmental study in there for 50,000. You have an economic development plan in there for 15,000. Property appraisals and surveys for 10,000. Chamber of Commerce development support of 12,750, and then a miscellaneous of 6,000.
Is that breakdown captured on another page?
No,
You just
sir.
said that
It,
right
it
quick.
will be in the budget book that we present next week in the footnotes section.
Okay, well, make sure it's highlighted because you just went
Yes, yes,
kind
sir.
of quick on that breakdown. You said annexation, 125,000?
Yes, sir. That's the number at the moment.
Say again?
Yes, sir. That is the number that's in there at the moment.
That was based on,
It was based on having gone out with an RFQ previously for $85,000 and felt the response was inadequate. Mr. Gay thought it would take 125,000 to get the job done.
I guess, a discussion for the commissioner manager, maybe not at this time because we're just budgeting. I'm not sure of putting $125,000 in there for annexation, given the appetite around places these days, for that kind of money. You said you put out RFPs and based on response, that's why you upped it to 125?
It was an RFQ. It came back at $85,000 to do the three areas, area A, B, and C. And Mr. Gay felt that was even what the proposal that came back was not adequate. He felt it would take 125,000 to do the job well.
Okay, I'm a proponent in some regards for annexation. I'm just not sure I want to commit that kind of money at this moment, given the dynamics of how everything is working. That might be a footnote for me to come back and address, but it's in the budget as a part of a bigger picture. So as a part of the whole professional services. And based on your statement, that's why you upped it, because if you go back out, you feel like you need to have more money in a line item, if I'm understanding you correctly. Mr. Mayor, I think Mr. Gay wants to speak.
Mr. Gay.
Through the manager, if I could add a little further clarification. Gregory Gay, Director of Planning and Community Development. We've been looking at this annexation process for quite some time. And even though there is the, I guess you'd say, probation or moratorium that is going on, we do have an understanding and we have heard that there, even though this moratorium is in place, there are other areas in Miami-Dade County that are looking at opportunities to at least move forward with a study to basically do an analysis of what particular areas they may be targeting. And some of those areas are some of the same areas that we're looking at as well. So we really want to move forward as quickly as possible. And that's why we have the allocation in place. We would like to move forward with moving the annexation project as quickly as possible.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
1 second, Commissioner Santiago.
I follow that logic in a sense. I know exactly what you're saying. Okay, that's another discussion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question, though we really like to go to the annexation? And I'm talking about because it's very important to be ready when that moratorium go away from the county. And we have to have something in plans. I think when we be one-on-one, we be talking about that in our meeting. And I think it's a good idea, okay, to be ready for that day, when the day coming. I really love to have, some part for the annexation plans that we have and make our city extending, okay, to the size that is right there for us for many years. I remember the first time that we go through, I don't want to say anything about it, but I know that we lost it for or we miss, okay, together, because we not get together, everybody, and do the job. Uh, Good idea to have that money in the budget up there, Madam Manager and Finance Lady, because we had to be ready with that day coming. That's my opinion.
I agree as well. So any other questions for building license?
I agree with.
Okay. All right. Are we moving on?
Building and licenses, these are the objectives.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Bob.
Yes, sir.
Would you like to sit down and do this presentation? Because you've been standing since 1:30.
My 85-year-old back is kind of, but
But if you can, the mic moves. If you can sit
I-
here, you sure?
I'm a masochist, but thank you.
All right.
Thank you for the offer.
Mr. Mayor, can we also ask him, like, for the next year of 27, at least we have some funding for lunch in that type of, please?
This is
They-
the lunch.
they told
My lunch.
They
That's
told me that
candy.
they told me that you were bringing it.
Oh,
We asked for lunch last year, the year before that, but boss lady over there don't think we hungry. She said
Yeah.
lunch break is at 12 o'clock.
Yeah,
I'm
very-
not with that. Go ahead.
Yeah, very quickly. One of the very important things on this one is a consultant study to just investigate the operational and see what can be done to possibly make it more efficient. A lot of these objectives are reliant on technology, and it also makes reference to doing a fee study. That expense for that fee study, if you remember, is in non-department Division 19. Any questions? If there are no questions, I'll move on to the next page.
Any questions on the building and license?
Objectives, the objectives.
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Bass?
Thank you. As always, I'm always concerned that we have enough bodies in our departments. So do we have enough bodies in that department?
Marilyn Bernard, Building and License Manager. Yes, we have 3 clerks, a supervisor manager. We do have the building official. We have about 6 inspectors, although that they are part-time, but
All 6 are part-time?
yes. We have 2 full-time. The building official is full-time. And in the building, we have a building inspector. He's also, the housing inspector, I'm sorry, the housing inspector is also full-time.
He's full-time.
Yes,
And you have how many part-times again?
6.
Okay,
But as far as, operation, daily operation, we're good.
okay, I mean, okay, because having the part-timers save the city monies, because we don't have to do insurance, all that other stuff. So with that many part-time employees, how many hours per day do they work?
They have let me see, they have all together in 2 weeks, they work 21 hours each. So remember, we have different inspectors. We have mechanical, electrical, plumbing. So
Yeah,
it's
Okay.
21 hours every 2 per period, every 2 weeks.
so basically 10 and a half hours per week.
Yes.
Are they always here or when necessary?
They come in, some days they come in to do review on the plans, and then they do inspections. We email them the inspections, and then if they have to come to the office on the days that they're not supposed to come, they actually come in and talk to us.
Okay, so but you're good.
Yes.
Okay, good. Perfect. Thank you.
good, Mr. Mayor.
And those inspectors are part-time. They work at other municipalities as well.
Okay.
Commissioner Santiago.
Through the manager to Madam Madeline. It's only a comment that I want to do to your department, okay? To I asking the manager for that permit. It is in the last report that we have here for that your department. I think that they get #1 in collecting revenue from outside in 1 month.
Good.
Well, I don't, no, I don't say not, no. I
But
say
we are
she's one of that department that collecting money. I don't go, later on we go when co-enforcement.
Yeah, we are
It
collecting.
has me that department doing a great job.
Thank you.
When the people that you have there, and I understand all these inspectors and all that, they really go around and do the job the right
Yes,
way.
they do.
It's only a comment. Then after that, when the time comes for co-enforcement, we're gonna say something.
Okay, I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
I just want to chime in on that. Building a license is one of those departments that generates revenue, generates funds for the city. They work together with code enforcement. However, code enforcement is not a revenue generating department. It's more of compliance. And that's what I've been meeting with them to discuss, more compliance. Although they do collect, but it's supposed to be compliance, to get people into compliance.
Okay, not a problem.
And Madam Manager, last thing, I'm sorry. I know we do contracted services with, other inspectors. Is there a way to contract with the county to get a DERM inspector here? Is
We
that
can-
something that we can explore?
We can explore it. I'm not sure if that's something that can be done, but we can definitely explore it
And the
and
only reason I
provide a
ask is
response.
I know a lot of, now that when you have new businesses taking over, the county's trying to play catch up. So DERM is on steroids. And a lot of our residents don't understand the process of DERM. So is there a way that we can bridge that gap between the city of Opa-locka and
Miss
DERM?
Gross, Miss
I know
Gross
you all
and
have
Mr.
DERM.
Austin giving me the eye like no, but
No.
we'll look.
They around. They all over around.
There are other municipalities that have.
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up.
I'm sure it doesn't hurt. It
Other
doesn't hurt us to look
municipalities
into it.
have relationships, but Durham will help out. That's what I'm saying.
Based on what?
He said based on advice from Durham, no.
Mm.
Let's just try.
We forgot that they part of Dade County. Mhm.
Any other right? Any other questions to building a licensing? Thank you.
Mayor, under
Vice
professional,
Mayor.
thank you. Under professional services, $25,000 for a consultant. Exactly, what is that consultant going to do?
The consultant, that's not the same thing.
Vice Mayor, as I mentioned a moment ago, that is for bringing somebody in to look at the way they do business to see if it could be more effective.
Okay, this is what the manager proposed about looking at the whole department.
Yes, I want them
Okay.
to do an
All right.
overview
Thank
of the
you.
entire department.
Thank you.
You off the hot seat, Miss Marilyn. Thank you.
That's why I passed the mic.
Look, as they say, next on program is Parks and Rec.
Okay. You've reviewed the expense for the building license, and therefore we'll move on. Parks and Rec, they've got a new master plan, which they've got to get their arms around. Aggressive community outreach to get more residents to use their services. If there are no questions on this one, I'll move on to the next page.
Okay, go ahead.
We good? Okay. Here are the numbers. At the moment, you'll see 423,000 in for special events. That is to be discussed later this afternoon, and hopefully we can get to some better direction as to where you might want to take that number. Are there any other numbers on this page that catch your attention that I could give you some information on?
Any question on Parks and Rec?
I will move on.
Is this what you wanted us to talk about the events? Or are we doing that?
So this would be at the end because I think that'd be a long discussion. I'd like to get through this if we could. Police Department objectives, probably one that has the greatest impact or greatest awareness is the last one. We talked to already 5 additional patrol positions. Also provision, there's funding in there to identify and get 2 people through the police academy.
Thank you for that, Mr. Bob. It only took you off.
That's police, thank the police department. Yes, sir.
The police department will be doing recruiting.
There are no questions on this page?
No, I know Commissioner Santiago had questions on the police department.
Please.
And I do have one question as it relates to the vehicles. Can one vehicle, Madam Manager, and I've been asking this for years, be assigned to City Hall? Where when our when our employees are making runs, they're not using their personal cars. Is there something that we can do where they can sign it out? It's
Mr.
not
Austin, do you
far-fetched.
have a vehicle? Which vehicle is that? What vehicle is that? Oh,
There's something that's assigned to
Okay.
City Hall.
so he
So
does.
if
The
I don't-
Ford
it doesn't
Escape.
matter what it is, but just
So yes, he
if
does. Okay.
they're doing city business, they have to make a run. They can use that and they can sign it out from here. And I only brought it up because you said that we were bringing in more leased cars from the police department. All right.
As a reminder, we also use freebie.
Okay, but let's just say if Miss Adelina Gross has to drive to a meeting in downtown or something,
Yes, sir.
or to pick up services, that's my point. That they,
Yes, sir.
they can sign the car out and and go about her business.
Yes, sir. I had to get over to PWHQ. I use freebie.
But that means you got to take freebie from here to the next city, then take on their freebie to the next. That's gonna be a long ride, Miss Gross. You're gonna be riding for a while.
Do we have any questions on the police department objectives?
Yes, sir,
Please.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Santiago.
Thank you. Question. Do we have any increase for the next year for the budget for the police department?
So we are in
Oh.
PBA negotiations at this time. That's something that we will be looking into and to incorporate it in this budget.
Okay, yeah, well, I think that we touched that in the
Yes.
commissioner meeting last night. Yeah. And that I'm concerned and keep our police department alive, up. When you're talking about to replacing cars and all that, what I'm gonna say is yes, it's true to do that because that cars be using it every day, all the time, and we can see maybe 18 hours a day, probably. And I know that after 4 or 5 years, okay, a lot of the police department they're replacing it, and they reduce a lot of costs in mechanics and all that and things. The bigger concern with the police department that I have today is we have to keep it always on time, whatever they need, because that's the main key that we have for safety here in the city, and to make to keep him, listen people outside they say the Opa-locka doing well in crime and everything. A lot of people learn already, Chief Star, that many of the crime that they coming out in TV sometimes they not happen here, they happen in the other side of Miami Garden, but they call it Opa-locka. And I hope that budget coming for 26, including their salary increase for our police officers. Madam Manager,
I'm so sorry.
I hope, and that's what I love to see, that for the next 26 budget year, we including money there for our police officer salary.
Yes, we're including money. We will be including money in increases in the
She doesn't
budget
wanna
for
talk
all
about it because
departments.
in the middle of
Yeah, and I,
negotiations.
yeah.
Okay.
We can't go into that.
But I don't say any amount. I only say that I hope, because I want to hear a good news, not bad news about that.
But I-
Thank you. No
Mr.
problem.
Mayor, yeah, Mr. Mayor, I just have a question about
Something you said.
something he said, so I would know. I know with our employees, their raises, to my knowledge, is based upon their performance. Am I correct? With our employees, our regular employees,
You
not
did that
police
for the
officers?
non-bargaining employees?
Yes, ma'am. No, as I said before, the increases are based either on union contracts or based on evaluations each year.
Okay, so my question is, when police officers get raises, it's not based upon their performance, it's just based upon what because I think it should be based upon their performance. Let's keep it real.
Police get increases, they get step increases and they
Mhm.
get the increase that's in their bargaining. And once they finish with their step, they get longevity.
So it has nothing to do with their performance. I
No.
could come to work every
No.
day and do nothing,
No, it
and I'm gonna
doesn't.
still get a raise
No, it doesn't.
regardless.
Yeah.
Wow.
But this is not a problem that we have. When the police department, I want to make it clear. Okay, one of the situations that we have is that they get better places somewhere. Okay, that they pay better, and we lose a lot of good police officers sometimes. That's it. That's it. I don't want to say that, but that's one of the problems we have.
Let's dive into the deep water, Mr. Mayor. And I've been saying this for years, regardless whether it's police or anywhere else, many times people don't come to the city expecting to get big city money or whatever. They like to get it, but they know that we're not there economically to be able to give. I think the answer that the manager is giving based on contracts, union contracts, of course, they're negotiating, we're negotiating, and whatever that comes out to will come back to the commission for a final vote. Again, keeping in mind, whatever we do in terms of these contracts that may go beyond what's budgeted was going to require a deduction somewhere else. Keep that in mind. And just like you have the union contract, you also have the non-folks who are in union, who also is based on performance evaluation. I think that's kind of a um, challenge. I've always had a challenge with that because on one hand, you're basing it on my performance. On the other hand, I'm going to get whatever because the contract says it. And that's always been a challenge of mine. I will defer to wait until the contracts are done and see what is negotiated, what the manager recommends, and then we can really address it. I think all of us want to see not only public safety, but all of our employees treated fairly as best they can. But I will tell you, it's not always based on money. It's sometimes based on how you treat me. I can deal with less money if you treat me correctly and I feel like I'm getting a fair shake. And I'm not going to get into specifics of the police department, although I could. But I think all of us want to see our officers taken care of, treated the best that we can treat them. But I think we want that for all of our employees. So I don't want to start even giving out numbers or get too deep. I will just say to my colleagues, when the contracts are negotiated and it comes back to us, which it will, if we feel like those numbers are not where we want them to be, we can make any adjustments we want to make, but it's going to mean taking some dollars from somewhere. I think what you have in the proposed budget is some numbers. Obviously, they're not etched in stone, so I'll wait for those contracts to be done. But I would say, and I know it's a challenge, but Madam Manager, between you and the HR Director to look at that imbalance. The fact that you can get a raise, get a whatever, and it's not based on really performance just because you're in that unit. And maybe that's something you all can talk about in your negotiations as well. But I don't like to hear this statement or this perception that we are not concerned about folks being treated fairly or getting raises or getting whatever. We love all our employees, want everybody to see and do the best they can within the parameters of our budget. But a lot of that has to do also with how folks are treated. You know, don't give me the raggedy vehicle and somebody else got the Lamborghini and they're doing less. Make it fair. And that goes across the board with any department, regardless of any vehicle. And I think, Madam Manager, you're saying that I think you said last night you have a meeting with PBA, since we're talking about the police, coming up in August. So your intent, I'm quite sure, before we deal with the actual budget or pass it, you will have a number or whatever you all have agreed on to come back to the commission for a final vote.
Yes, that is the intent, to have it incorporated in our budget before it's passed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Irvin.
For the red light cameras for that permit, have we heard from the county yet on that permit?
We have heard from Villa, is it Villa, Vera
Vera
Mobility?
Vera Mobility, yeah.
Who has been meeting with our staff, speaking to our staff on a weekly basis and trying to coordinate with the county. There hasn't been much improvement. It's probably going to get to the point where the elected officials will have to step in and reach out to the county to see what's going on because they're not getting anywhere. The permitting for the red light cameras.
Where's the county?
It's. Had to your meeting with District One.
You know, city sued,
Yeah, say they won't
also sued the county too.
Mr.
And
Seriously, on another,
at that point, I'm
on a more cheerful note, I guess, I want to commend the manager and the police chief for actually eliminating the assistant chief position and adding the 2 officers. I think that speaks volume to want to make sure we put people on the streets. And so I know eliminating that position plays into the whole financial side of it, because I know initially it was 3, and as you said, Mr. Mayor, it went up by 2 to 5, which is what we really want to see folks out in the community and patrolling. So I don't want to overlook something like that, because a lot of times people want to be top heavy, but we need to have folks that are out there in the community. So I'm a community chief for that, to making sure to eliminate, because you could have put somebody number 2 that makes your job a lot easier, as opposed to having officers. But I think having officers will make it a lot easier. But I wanted to notate that as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any,
What is that? What was that?
any other questions to the police chief, Madam Manager, or our budget director?
Just a quick question, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Bass.
So our manager, what percentage of our budget goes to the police department?
Go ahead.
Of the general fund, including the transfers expenses, about 1/3. It's about $11 million out of $30 million.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And before we move on, I piggyback on Vice Mayor. Thank you for finally allowing us to recruit and put officers in the academy so that we can retain them. However, I just want to make sure that we do some kind of contract with said officer or that employee that once you go to the academy, you belong to Opa-locka for a certain amount of years, and if you don't stay with us, then we want our money back. Okay, I just want to make sure.
One other thing, I know I
Yep,
mentioned
in good
before,
standings. In
Mr.
good
Mayor,
standings with the city.
I know we have the reserves. Are you still looking, or at least, whatever term, looking into the auxiliary
The
police,
auxiliary.
concept? Mr. Mayor, to the chief.
Yes, we are. We actually had a sit down with 11 reserve officers today. We are excited about continuing through the process with them. They already know what the expectations are and what we're looking for and seeking for community involvement. So we are in the process of continuously promoting the reserves, which is a program that will help, for one, on both ends. Will provide us with the number of officers that we need in the field, but most importantly, they're able to keep their certification. So it does benefit on both ends. As far as the auxiliary program, which is similar to the reserve program, it's pretty much the same, but we'll seek into looking more with the auxiliary. However, the reserve program has been very effective through our agencies, and we're looking to increase that number even more if we can, with the permission of the city manager, to at least up to 15. Because they only get paid $1 a year, and they're providing us with the service that we need 20 hours a month. So
Well,
right now it's a good process.
Okay, thank you for the explanation. It has nothing to do with the reserve program. I like the reserve. I understand it. It was just to look into the auxiliary, just to see if something, to explore it, to see if it was something that could be beneficial to the city, because years ago it was a part of the city program in addition to reserves. It wasn't to replace it. It was just to look to see if it was something that could be beneficial for our police department, to just beef it up in some areas that maybe people are not reserved, but they may be interested in auxiliary. It was just to look at that, not to replace or to, I'm a big fan of the dollar folks. They know that. When I have meetings, the first thing I ask for is the reserves. So I appreciate that. I just to look into it, and I guess whatever your findings, you feel like it's something that is not doable or just not worth the effort. I just like to know that, but I just wanted to explore it as part. It's not really a budgetary issue at this moment, but okay.
I would
Thank you,
definitely
Mr.
look
Mayor.
into that.
Wait, Chief, before you leave, because Vice Mayor said a word, explore twice in his speech. I don't see my explorers in your budget.
The explorers are actually, it's on my page over there. You have it on
I
here?
don't see them. I see.
But we budget set aside for the explore
here.
program. We are going to be doing a big meet and greet in August with the new explorers that we're bringing into the program.
Okay, and this includes uniforms,
Yeah.
lunch, insurance, all of
Yeah.
that 9 yards.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I just want us to be not a repeat of this here. Yeah,
Yeah.
competition, everything, graduation.
Mr. Mayor, they are in that other category, which is a reasonably big number for this department, given it's so big. But it
How
is,
much? How much? How much?
I think it's about 10,000. We can take a look very quickly.
Oh, no.
Page 87, please.
What
That's
page?
not enough.
What page was that?
87.
Okay, you said the 10,000, that was the issue that we had this year. Y'all need to up
I
that.
believe
Mr. Anderson.
that's what we have in there.
We need to up that.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question while we look into that?
I guess, ma'am.
Thank you. How many explorers do we have at this time?
Currently, we have 5 that's in the program. We initially started off with a lot more than that. We do have 5. We are in the process of revamping the program to ensure that each child does have insurance and they are documented accordingly. So there is some revisions being made, and that's being handled by the the reserve officers.
How many do you anticipate, or what are your goals?
The
Number.
goals is to increase that number to 15 to 20.
Okay, we have any potential explorers that are interested?
We actually have some that are currently working in the intern program provided through the HR department that has shown an interest.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, but Chief, Madam Manager, that $10,000, that's what we had last year. We need to up that.
Last
Chief.
year, I believe the budget last year was 4,000.
I remember y'all kept saying 10. That's why I said that number always stuck out to me, 10, because I always never thought that was enough.
Well, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to see that go to at least 15.
Or 20.
At least 15. I know it's 40. You had down there 4,600 or something
Yes.
for last, and you're budgeting for 10 this year, correct? But as Commissioner Bass was saying and asked about increasing, you said hopefully get up to 15. So I'd like that to suggest to my colleagues at least 15. So it's more than enough.
Mhm.
I think we all like it. Well, I don't ever want to see them T-shirts again and whatever.
Yeah.
I still had it in my memory. It's been years. I know they don't upgrade it, but I still in my memory. I did not like that. So I prefer to, Madam Manager, to up that to 15. If you don't need to use it, that's fine, but you got people coming in. We don't want that, ain't no money budgeted for, what do we use here? No shirt, no pants. Oh. So, to piggyback off what Commissioner Bass was saying, in terms of the numbers that you're hoping to up, so I'd like to suggest, Mr. Mayor, that we move that at least to 15. At least 15. I don't even know anybody else.
That's $5,000 more.
Vice Mayor, I'm sorry. I think you should try to get to 20. Because especially if we want an effective program, like a real Explore program, I don't think we should shortchange the children. And you got kids that are actually into it, but we need to invest in them. And that will cover their lunch, that will cover the insurance, all of which we don't do now. That will cover new uniforms because they need sets of uniforms, the physical uniform, the T-shirts, and then their dress class, whatever. And it also includes
And
recruitment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr.
And
Mayor.
recruitment.
20 is the magic number.
Yeah, that's 20.
So we can go ahead and put it for 20, and if it's not used, it's not used. It can go towards
Yeah,
something else, but we'll definitely have it budgeted.
Thank you, Madam Manager. All right, any other questions? Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
just one quick question.
Commissioner
What
Bass?
is the age range?
For the Explore program is from 12 to 17.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for the police chief? All right, thank you, chief. Moving on to our code compliance.
I have on the screen right now the expense profile for the police department. Are there any questions that I can answer?
That's what he can say.
I'll take that as a no.
You know what? Y'all something else. Before you leave, it's really more of a question, I'm not more of a statement, Mr. Mayor, to the manager and the police department. In terms of vehicles, and I know as was brought up earlier about some of the vehicles transitioning out, you got to purchase new ones. One of my challenges has always been damaged vehicles and how we're going to do that. I'd like to see a better, robust, Mr. Anthem. That's an inside joke for y'all don't know. Robust program of how we deal with damaged vehicles and how we hold folks accountable for damaged vehicles.
Damage and maintenance.
I mean, well, right.
Definitely.
Yeah, because, and I say that because a lot of time it's lumped into that one line item. We don't know where it's at, whether it's public works, police, whatever. So, but we need to deal with that, because some of these vehicles that get damaged, yeah, accountability, as my colleague is saying, we need to deal with that and the maintenance to take care of, I'm quite sure, I know you have somebody, I guess, in Public Works or somewhere that's supposed to be overseeing that, but even the maintenance side, because I'm quite sure you get announcements or something that come to say, oh, it needs to be changed or, but I'd like to know what that program and that part looks at, how it looks. And we have folks sign, I'm quite sure they have to sign off for something as a part of driving or maintaining that. 'Cause I see some of the vehicles, they have a little nick today and next week it's a little bigger and next week it's a little bigger. And I've accessed in the past over the last year and a half, when I look at the repairs or the maintenance, all usually in one little lump line item, so you don't know where it's at. But that's a concern I have, so if we could get that to the commission of that process and how we hold folks accountable on the maintenance and the damage side. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Move.
Yeah, 1 second.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's coming in my mind. Well, Vice Mayor talking about the cars and all that, and the city can have electrical cars.
It's expensive to.
It's not a big way to saving a lot of money in gas and all the maintenance. You know that the electrical car, the only thing they did is electric and a battery, and that's it. No oil change, nothing like that. But it is something that we can, like making a story to see if we can have in the future electrical cars here for.
If that's the intent of the commission, we can look at how we can do it in phases, but as of right now, we
Yeah.
just purchased brand new vehicles for most of our employees. So
No,
that's something that would have to be.
It's something future, like we can be talking, because I see city, the police department, they have electrical cars. And a lot of money saving. It's only an idea. Okay.
Jot that down, Madam Manager.
No, we can definitely look into
Yep.
it and bring it back to the commission on how we can do it in phases.
Yes, that's a good.
And the cost.
And the costs.
Yeah.
The
It's gonna be
totality of the
less.
clause. Oh,
Well, and I say that because we got to build. I have a friend of mine with a Tesla, and he said to me that he's saving $6,000 this year in gas. That's a lot of money. He traveling a lot from
But-
Naples to Miami,
she's gonna give us.
and that's what he say.
She's gonna
They
give us
don't
a
buy-
report.
yeah. Oh, and I think the federal government have something, with the electrical cars. Yeah, that they don't pay tax. They no more. Okay. All right, no problem.
I was trying not to say that, but thank you, Mr. Gay.
A zero auction to saving money. Yeah.
Don't go to Mike and say that. We'll be.
Your mic is on.
Mr. Mayor? Oh, before you go
You
on,
about to talk about electric cars too?
I just have a question about the clerk's budget.
We are well back.
It's quick.
I already got Mr. Bob telling me don't rush him. And you
It's gonna be 1 minute.
go ahead.
On page 80 of the booklet, Mr. Anathan,
Yes, ma'am.
if you look,
What's the page number? What's the page?
page 80,
80.
Page 80, please.
At the beginning.
you see where it says travel and per diem? The forecast 2,000, proposed 6, but then it says over under forecast 36,500. Is that correct?
Probably. That's new math. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
In other words, Mr. Anderson, she's saying that math ain't math, and that's what you're saying.
Listen, that wasn't adding up.
The math ain't math.
How could a budget administrator ask for anything more during a budget review?
All right, we moving on to code compliance.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Oh, go ahead, Mr. Bob.
Take page 46, please. Again, you'll see a consultant here to evaluate efficiency, possibly make improvements to operation. Another important one is to get all code officers fully trained and qualified. Any questions on this one, please?
Any questions to code and compliance? Vice Mayor?
I think, thank you. In my, again, in the professional services, there's 25,000 to do a study for efficiency and or whatever for the department.
That's correct. Code and building.
Okay. And the, I know you were doing a pay plan analysis for the whole city. So that's still, that hasn't come before us yet, though.
The pay plan? No, it hasn't
Hasn't come
yet.
before us.
Not yet.
Okay, because that was a challenge I brought up in terms of the pay of code officers after we went through the challenge with the CRA, trying to get that one filled. And the trucks, I know the environmental CRA person is supposed to, you said they were getting a truck through Public Works,
Yes.
and that truck has been identified,
Yes. It's been put into the budget. Yes, sir.
put in the budget.
Yes, sir.
So it's a new truck?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I was told y'all was getting a truck y'all already had. I can't hear you. On a temporary assignment. So we're gonna buy a new truck for the environmental code person, but until then, we're using
one of our available trucks in the fleet.
Okay, so yeah, that's a new. Okay, and that one is the one that's required for the compliance of the environmental. So that truck, even though it's cold, it's gonna have that on the bottom of it or somewhere in its insignia.
Stormwater compliance, yes, sir.
Okay, and I know there was some increase for furniture and equipment because they need more space. Because you got more offices now.
Yes, sir. Part of the CIP plan is to expand that office, and with that would come additional furniture.
Okay, and on the equipment side, I think you all told me you were adding 9,000 for radios.
Yes, sir. That's the intent. That is still under evaluation, but that's the intent.
What do you mean evaluation?
To see what the best option is to get them connected to the police department.
Okay, so the radios that they're going to get would be connected to the police department?
That's the intent. Yes, sir.
Okay, when y'all going to decide to know intent? I don't like playing words, so that's the intent, but when are you going to know? Because is that a technology issue or is that a
I believe the
compatibility?
technology is undergoing change. I thought it was resolved. It was brought to my attention the other day that what we were talking about might be obsolete equipment, and there we have to go back to the drawing board.
So will the 9,000 be enough since you got to go back to drawing board for equipment?
It could be. In fact, it could be. And if in fact it's the same program that the police might get, it would not, it'd be no expense for the first 2 years. We're looking at various options at this point.
Because the police radios are going to be switched out as well.
I can't hear you,
The
sir.
police radios will be switched out. That's what he's referring to. They were going to be using the same thing as the police, but those radios are no good. So the police would need new ones, and whatever they get, Code will be doing the same.
Okay, so the intent is wait for the police to switch theirs out?
Yes.
And then Cole will get the same kind so they could talk to them
Yeah.
or whatever that.
They'll have a channel to be able to communicate
with
directly to the police.
Directly with them?
Mhm.
Okay, all right, so. Okay, and they will have enough that you will have 5 vehicles plus the new one. But you have a total of 6 code.
No, sir.
vehicles.
6 in code, 6 in the code department plus 1 more in the stormwater department. You have,
That's the one that Mr. Austin's referring to. No?
I'm referring to 6 in the code department. You're going to have 6 code officers plus a code supervisor. You're going to have 1 vehicle that's used by both a daytime officer and a nighttime weekend officer. You have 7 people in the code department who need vehicles. That's going to be satisfied with 6 trucks.
Well, that's more of a internal administrator. I'm not referring to that deep. I'm just saying you're gonna have 6 code vehicles in total. Plus a supervisor? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, sir. There are going to be 6 in the code department, 1 in the stormwater division. Total of 7.
So you got 7 vehicles?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the DERM, whatever the public works one, I know you call environmental one.
Yep.
They're not under code?
They take direction from code. They report to stormwater. They're part of the stormwater division. Their compensation and all things such as vehicles are going to be reported in the stormwater division.
So they report to code, because I remember when this came up because of the legislation and the law, they're in code and they will be doing the environmental stuff sometime, and the other time they're in doing whatever code will need them to do.
Right.
Wherever. That's still the intent?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So basically you got supervisor and 6 officers. I'm not talking about the day and night thing.
Yeah. 6 officers plus a supervisor
Right.
in the code department, a 7th officer in the stormwater department.
Okay. So at any given time, we've got 6 folks out there, excluding the supervisor.
The answer would be yes, except one would be nights and weekends. That person
I'm
would.
not really getting into the scheduling.
Okay.
I got the day and night because
Okay.
the manager might decide she wants all of them out there at night, so I'm not getting to that part.
Okay.
I'm just saying there are 6 code officers in addition to a supervisor.
Plus a code officer in the stormwater division.
So
Total
that's
7.
7 officers.
Yes, sir.
So 7 officers plus a code supervisor.
Yes, sir.
So at any given time, we could have 7 code officers somewhere in our city, depending upon their scheduling.
That's correct.
Okay, let me stop right there for a moment. Let me catch my breath. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Santiago?
thank you. They be talking about 7 new cars.
Most of them are already on board. We're talking about one new one for the stormwater department.
Okay, one
The other
new
6 are.
that is already
on-
be purchased.
Say again, sir.
It's already in contract, no? It's coming.
The 7th one is not in contract at this moment. It will be shortly.
Good, okay. And that car is for public work.
It is for, I'll call it stormwater, but it's public works, public utilities. Yes, sir.
But why are we talking about code enforcement cars? And how many code enforcement we have in the street? That's what we be talking about, no? Why? I want to
But
know.
the
Because
storm,
that stormwater employee that he's referencing is a code officer.
Okay, good.
But he
Yeah,
focuses on stormwater, and when he's not doing stormwater, he'll be working with the regular code officers throughout the city.
good. Yeah, okay. But before that, I think that I heard there's gonna be 7 people in that job, and they need 7 vehicles, 7 cars.
They
But
only
code
need
enforcement
one.
have cars.
Yes, they already have cars.
They don't need it. They
No.
okay, all right. That's what I want to be sure, because I say if we're going to purchase it, that type of vehicle for co-enforcement, let's go, and search again for electrical vehicle for co-enforcement here. Hey, 4.5 square mile this city. My God, they're gonna be connecting the car every month, because they're not gonna spend too much gas, even if they take their car home. Good. That's the only, I want to be sure that they don't talking about purchasing other cars for co-enforcement. But Madam Manager, for the future, please, yes, search, okay, to see we saving more money purchasing electrical cars.
That's on our to-do list.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions for code compliance? All right, Commissioner Bass?
In my opinion, I don't think we have enough code officers. That's just my opinion, because I know that our code department works hard, as well as our other departments, but I cannot always see the work that our code department is doing, because there's so much work to be done. Not taken away from the department at all, but I just think that, in my opinion, I don't know if you feel the same, we need more bodies, because I don't think that I just think we need more bodies. That's it.
But I think they're looking for it, because the other day I heard one of the co-enforcement person have 2 people were handing the car training.
3.
3. Oh, 3. With me, I think
So
they're looking for
What
replacing.
number would that take us to?
Yeah.
Still at 6. 7, yeah.
So-
And how many, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
No, go ahead.
How many persons are on the street at the same time? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Violation, and when it's like downtime, they'll be roaming through the city with us, doing other code and stuff. So they'll be doing like environment is not done all the time.
But do you feel as if they are in your department enough?
There,
Mhm.
because from 9, we come in at 9, collect their phone, they have messages, whatever the case may be. 9 o'clock, they're on the street. They come back in at 4 to do the same thing. Collect calls, return calls, that 1 hour. It's really, that's all they need.
No, Ms. Wilcox, I think what she's asking you is, do you need more officers in your department?
Mr. Mayor, can she speak in the mic? Because we need
To record.
for the minute.
Yeah.
Okay. So the only Bass, I kind of sort of agree with you. However, I know that the manager is bringing in a consultant to do a study to enhance operational effectiveness. So I would say let's wait
Okay.
until we get the findings back from the
Mhm.
consultant
Mhm.
to see what
Where
we
we are.
need to do and where changes need to be made, especially as it relates to getting more
Mhm.
bodies in.
Agreed. Mhm.
So that's just my opinion.
No, but because of what you just said, yeah, I'll wait and see where we go from there.
But then the other question that I would ask, Madam Manager, the consultant's gonna come in October-ish, and when do you plan on having the findings?
We'll
Or
start.
as it goes?
We'll start to once the budget is approved, we'll start to get the consultant on board.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Question for Ms. Whitmore?
Any questions to Ms. Wilma?
Yeah.
Do you have a question for Ms. Wilma?
Yeah.
Oh, no, she wanted you to.
It's okay.
talk in
I'm
the mic,
fine.
In the mind, yeah.
But I'm okay.
That's what
But
you
you're
do
good.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're good. Any questions to Ms. Wilma?
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Ms. Wilma, the same radios the co-enforcement use is the same frequency for the police department?
Currently, we do not have radios.
Oh, you don't have no
No,
radios?
we
Oh.
sat with the chief and Mr. Anathan and come to the conclusion that I guess when the police department switch out their radios, we will then get their old radios until they're obsolete, because eventually they will be obsolete.
Yeah, okay, it's only a question because I know the police department, the way we're talking about the radio, they already obsolete. It's me, they now no more what they using now. Okay, but co-enforcement don't need
Current-
radios
Well,
for now.
right, well, we haven't had them for a while.
Okay.
Actually, staff was concerned about safety, and sometimes when they may come into a situation
Yeah.
where they have to literally dial to get in touch with an officer, it would be quicker for them at a click of a
Exactly.
button. And I agree with that, you
Yes.
know.
Good, okay. Yeah, we can add that.
Okay. Any other questions to Ms. Wilcox?
Mayor,
Vice Mayor?
did I hear you say you're getting the old radios from the police department?
That's what we talked about, yes, because of the cost for per radio. And the chief can speak on that because I'm not familiar with how that works.
Mr. Anathan, you don't have a line item for radios for code? Because I was under the impression that they were getting new radios.
Yeah, it was not, well, he said it was 9,000, I believe.
At the moment, we have $9,000 in there under, I think, computer equipment.
Can you bring up the chief, give the clarity on that?
Can you, yes, please.
And Chief, and I know this is something that you all discussed. It wasn't discussed with me. I do not support that code get the old radios, because if they don't work for police, then they're not going to work for code, and they're not going to be compatible. So all of that, passing them down, I don't support it, but you can go ahead.
So the current radios.
Thank you, Madam Manager. 'Cause
And
I was just about to ask
you
that
don't
same
say
question.
anything,
That's a good one, yeah.
Mr. Mayor, should I say?
New
anything else?
radio for code.
That was my exact
That
statement. So you don't
was,
say
that
that.
was what I.
If you get it, they need to get, number one, they need to get radios. Because the way things are there now, they need to be able to get a
The climate.
officer if they need it to get it. And so, Madam Manager, I'll let you meet with them. I know it's 9,000. I don't know if that was enough for new radios to be compatible. I understand waiting for the new budget or when they're gonna change over but they need radios with a frequency for hook up to the police department. And I remember before years ago, they had that ability, and it's probably even more challenging now. So, Madam Manager, you took the words right.
Yes,
from my
Ms. Wilcox, Ms. Wilcox, just walk away with the phone.
So what is that?
What happened?
That
so
happens to me too,
you-
so I know that happens to me.
You answered it correctly, so we'll wait for you because they need to have the same radios. Matter of fact, and I'm going back historically now, when I was mayor, they had radios and tablets. And I don't know about the compatibility for all that now, but back then they had the tablet and the radios. Now I'm going back to 2005, 4, 6, I don't know. And that may not be compatible now, but I'll wait on not only the study or whatever, but we definitely need, if they're gonna get radios, they need to be right on the same line, not anything old or passed down, or what have you. Yeah, they need to.
Mr.
And it-
Mayor, I'm sorry. You're done?
Go ahead, go
Okay,
ahead.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was observing Chief and she was shaking her head as we said that $9,000, that is not enough if it's gonna be covering the police department as well as code. Am I right?
If I can intercede, my understanding is the first 2 years it's free, therefore the $9,000 would be too much.
Oh, okay.
You mean one?
Okay, so there's an agreement through Motorola. And Motorola, since these radios that we currently have are becoming obsolete. Basically, Motorola has a special that they're offering to law enforcement where we have 2 years free. However, the first year is free, the second year is just a subscription, which is a very minimal amount. After that second year, then of course we'll have to pay, it's leased, but we only pay a small percentage until it's paid for the following years. So that information, and we can always add a number of radios under the police, but I would definitely want to sit down with the city manager first to see how we're able to do that.
I'm happy you said that. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, the third year, the 9,000 obviously won't be enough.
But that's under their budget, under the
Okay.
code enforcement
Okay.
budget, but each radio does have a cost which is more than 9,000.
Okay, thank you.
And to Chief, Ms. Wilcox, next week we all need to meet to discuss it because all of us need to be on the same page, including IT and procurement, because nobody's on the same page and I don't like it.
All right. Any other questions for code compliance? All right. Thank you. We're going into beautification.
Sir. Salon.
Continuing progress in maintaining both the buildings and the grounds and doing
Yeah,
energy
yeah.
audit.
Any questions or concerns to beautification at this moment? All right.
I don't-
go ahead.
You're proposing the 15 and they're fully, it's fully staffed now? You have they're all positions are filled in the beautification and maintenance division?
Good afternoon, Mr. Owen Carney, interim
hear you.
beautification and maintenance
We can't
division.
hear you.
Mr. Owen Carney, interim beautification and maintenance manager. Yes, currently we at 15.
Okay, I know we did not do any beautification initiatives outside the one we did actually through the CRA. I'm kind of concerned, I'm assuming, no, let me assume, the tree trimming, because I think we ought to, and I mentioned in my briefing on the budget about that. So is this 27,000, is that like a first step for that, or is that something you already have budgeted as part of beautification?
No, that is the first step.
And how do we come up with the 27,000 as the initial starting point?
Yes, sir. I took a portion out of other contract service we had in there and started with $27,000 just to get it started.
Okay, I don't know how that works. I guess I'll ask Mr. Carney since he's the interim director. To me, $27,000 is not enough, considering all the trees we got all over the city that needs to be trimmed. And I'm not even talking about just outside. I'm talking about even in some of our city properties. When I go to Ingram Park, those trees need to be trimmed. When I go to Seeker, they need to be trimmed. So just on city properties that need trimming, not in addition to other areas throughout the city that need trimming. So just my opinion, it should be higher than 27, but give me your thoughts since you're in the division.
Yes, the 27 basically is just a starter. It is a lot of tree, not only just our facility, it could be outside as well, other than the facility that we have throughout the city, but it's just a starter, but it can't increase.
Okay, but will we be doing that, or would that be a contract, somebody else doing it?
It'll be split between us and the contractor.
The 27,000?
Yes.
Well, you got,
No, but it's internal charge.
I don't,
Vice Mayor, the 27,000 would be for third party outside. You would not see, you would see, if we do, it would be up in the compensation line.
say it again, I'm sorry.
If we were to, if to the extent we do tree trimming, that's in the compensation line. You would not see it in this line here
It'll be in the compensation, why would it be over there?
because it's our employees. You said if we do it.
Well, I'm saying if I'm working 8 hours.
Yeah.
Why couldn't I just trim a tree inside of my 8 hours? Why would that be that wouldn't be additional?
No, sir, I didn't say would. I'm just saying we don't, if our own employees do a particular line item of work, it does not show up in there. In other words, we could take the entire division, have them tree trim for the year, and that line would be zero.
Okay,
they're-
my concern or my thought process is we got a lot of trees throughout the city that need to be trimmed. Some of them may be side to swell, they may be in some of our actually city properties, but to me, 27,000 is not enough. My question is, if tomorrow, you got parks over in Ingham, I use them because I'm over there a lot. They got trees that need to be trimmed back. So our staff would not be doing that, or they would be doing that.
It will be doing that.
We'll be doing that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then the 27,000 you're referencing in this budget is just for outside folks that we could not do.
That's correct. The taller trees that's in the mediums, like Shahrazad, those are taller trees that's gonna need boom to get that high.
Okay, but is that something we're doing or something a contract is doing?
Contractor.
Okay, so tell me what trees we can trim.
For instance, when you stated around the park, they're not that high park. They're trimming off the fence line.
Okay, I'm not sure 27,000 is enough. Because I'm hearing I'm hearing outside, but I'm hearing inside. So if we do it inside, we have the equipment to do it.
Yes, we do. We got a slope saw that could reach that a certain distance. Yeah, we have it.
Okay, so we got the equipment to do it. It's just a matter of us doing it.
Yes, sir.
And the 27,000 then is just for outside entity that we cannot reach.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how many of the trees on our properties or somewhere can we do?
Currently, I don't have a figure to give you that right now.
Okay, I'd like to know that because if we could be doing the trees, we should have already been doing the trees. And the only thing I always hear is we got to get a third-party contractor because we either don't do it or didn't have equipment. So now you're telling me we got the equipment, we got the 15 people total. And so the only people we got to really go outside for the 27 if there's something really high that we can't do.
Correct.
So is tree trimming already built into our schedule?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how do we do tree trimming?
Currently, not that we don't have it that many times. We're going to start scheduling them to do it more.
Okay, Madam Manager, I'd like to see that schedule. Yeah, I'd like to see that schedule because we've got a lot of trees throughout the city and particularly on our properties and on our, own fence lines or whatever that need to be trimmed. I didn't know we had a schedule for tree trimming, so I'd like to definitely know more about that. Okay, and the beautification division, are they also responsible for I know we're doing new gateways and stuff, but they're responsible for those too, flowers, shrubbery and all that around those, once we get them redone or whatever?
No, the gateways are done by the contractor service.
The
Right,
maintenance
for a period of
after.
time. Pardon
The
me?
maintenance after.
The maintenance after, not putting up.
No, the maintenance that's done by the contractor service. For instance, I just added the new gateway on 27. I just added that to the contractor service that we have that do the alleys. I just added that to their responsibility.
And why do we do that?
Because that's
Why wouldn't we can't do something that simple? I mean, we may not have the capability for alleys because that might be a little bit more, but we added that to the contract of the,
yes, because of the workload, sir.
why would we do that? That's something to me is very, because now we gotta actually ask them to go replace the shrubbery or move the plant or add some more mulch.
No, they do not fast maintenance mean cutting, not planting. They maintain by cutting and trimming, not planting.
Well, I'm talking about the gateway areas.
Right.
The little mulch and flowers you see around Welcome to Opa-locka.
Right.
You're saying you're contracting that with our contract.
The contractors not only cut it, but they would also spray the mulch as well.
Okay, well, who put the mulch down? Who put the little plants down? Who put the little flowers down? Who would do that? They would do that?
The flowers was done to CIP.
But once the flowers are planted, Mr. Owen, going forward, who's going to ensure that the plants are watered, that the mulch is replaced, that the weeds are removed? Who's doing that part?
We are doing the contract do the trimming, but we do far as the tree, the maintenance is a split decision between us and the contractor.
So I think, but why can't we do it fully? That way we don't have to we don't have to.
Because of the workload of the staffing that we have.
I can give you some answer for that. Though that's the answer though a vice mayor wanted hidden from you. Okay. I believe that the reason why you don't what that department don't do it is because maybe they don't know how to do it and they're not professional. We don't have the right person there to do it. You don't think is right what I say? Loud and clear. Okay, they know what they do? Because I'm when vice mayor, like, why we don't doing it if we the city? Why we had to hide in a third party? We hide in a third party because maybe they know what they do.
No.
And we don't know what to do in that case.
No, the third party is already has been doing the gateways, not just the new gateway, but other welcoming sign.
But he be talking about everything about alleyways, everything that we have. If we have a public work department here in the city, I know that around all the city, public work department do a lot of things. And this is one of the part that they do, that they maintain the beautification of the cities, especially in the main road. That's only my opinion. That this is the reason why. Okay, sometimes we don't doing the right thing. We don't doing the good job that we're supposed to do because we don't have the professional people. Professional is not me that they can be a doctor, but it's me in the landscaping area.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not getting into the staff's ability. I'm just saying, I don't understand why we'll be contracting out something as simple as gateways, something as simple as mulch or little flowers around the mediums, things of that nature. I got alleyways, I got the tree is too big, so we got to get a contract because that requires a specific truck. I'm talking about the simple. You're saying to me that we split it with a contract, and then you also mentioned CIP. So I'm really trying to understand for something, in my opinion, I don't cut grass, whatever, I don't have a green thumb at all, why we would need to do that. My biggest concern, let me just wrap it up because time is moving, Madam Manager, we need to be able to beautify better. And I'm thinking if you got 15 folks, and they got the equipment, as Mr. Carney's saying, why we don't make sure the flower's dead or the plant is out of season or the mulch is done died down. It shouldn't take for me or one of my colleagues to call you to say, spruce it up. It ought to be on some kind of schedule. We know certain times of the year, certain flowers and plants are more prevalent than others. And this is the only time I can capture this. So if it's not an equipment issue, if it's not a staffing issue, we've just decided to split the contract. I'm just saying, why are we doing that? Why not have our staff? Now, if we don't have the time, I don't know if that's what you're saying, we don't have the time to do it. I'm not sure, but I need to get clarity. And for the sake of time, I'll let you, Madam Manager, bring that back to us, because to me, that's something we ought to be doing in-house. And we're spending money on our new look to come into the city. And I know for a period of time it's under contract, but after a certain while, it comes to us. And I'm talking about whether it's 22nd, 27, Scheherazade, the one over by where former Vice Mayor Johnson stays behind Owen Dixie, all those kind of areas like that, to me, in addition to our roundabouts. Because even right now, roundabouts, we cut them sometimes, but the flowers, the shrubbery, and to me, I'm thinking that's something we should be able to do as a part of beautification, since we got that number of folks. So I'm not talking about their ability or whatever. I'm just saying that enough manpower and staffing. That's what I'm getting at.
No, Vice Mayor, what I was stating earlier was that the contracted services that we are already cutting gateways in their contract service.
If I may, they're not doing a good job. And I'm saying that because Yesterday, I was driving down 27th Ave, 151st, and it looks horrible. The gateway right there, it's embarrassing. So 151st and 27th Avenue, it is hideous. So apparently they not doing their jobs.
We share the same concern with regards to that gateway. We are having some challenges with that location because the gateway is on a piece of property that's not owned by the city. So we will be taking some other steps to correct that issue. But we share the same concern, and we can't do anything about that property right now.
Madam Manager, I'm sorry. All right, and I brought this up to you before, and because it's always been a challenge for me. Building maintenance and beautification and maintenance. Job is to do beautification and maintenance. They're doing everything else but what they're supposed to be doing. They help out with events. They move furniture and chairs. They move, but that's not their job. So they don't have time to do their job because they're doing everything else. So can we let this department focus on their job?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the point.
And I've been asking you that for the longest. That's the issue. That please.
Yes, noted.
Hiding the right person.
Vice Mayor.
We didn't create this. We didn't create it like this. I know I didn't. I know exactly what you're saying, and it's always been broken down into various divisions. This was put together as this one big, I don't want to use that term, big, beautiful division that would do everything. That would do everything. Okay, and so I share your concern. It ought to be broke down into you're doing just beautification, which would be what we're talking about. You're doing inside maintenance or putting a chair together or painting. I share the same challenge. So if you want to break it down, that's fine. But they would lump together as part of a big, and I think that's
No.
why you got the maintenance. on
That's
it.
not what I'm talking about, Vice Mayor. Sometimes they be working events. They work events, and I call the manager. I say, Madam Manager, why is beautification at this event? They should not be working events. That's not their job. Yes, maintenance of our buildings, our green spaces, our parks, that's their job to keep the city beautiful. But if they're working an event, then they're not doing their job. That's not their job. That's what I'm on. You can bifurcate it and put a division for maintenance and division for beautification, but they still need to do what they were hired to do, and that's to make our city maintain the beautification of our city, not working events.
Okay, and I can appreciate that, and I said that a while back when I first came back, and I can tell you personally, that was taken to heart because the public works employees were taken away from the feeding. Okay, they were taken away from the feeding for that very purpose. So you know what I did, and again, it's no knock on the folks because I love them all, and they're out there helping. And if they get taken away now, that's fine. They can't do event. They can't do the feeding on Wednesday. Can't do the feeding on Fridays when I was doing it. I watched and monitored what was going on those Wednesdays and Fridays, and not against a knock on them, but they were not doing any more or less. Okay, I have a problem with having them do just beautification or what have you, not events, but somebody's still going to have to shut up the table. Somebody's still got to put up the tent, which involves public works. So you take them out of events altogether, who's going to do that? Because you don't always have contracted folks. So if you want to bifurcate and separate the divisions out, so this is just for this, and this is just for beautification. They do nothing else but maintaining the trees or the shrubbery or the flowers or cutting, that's fine. I never liked the idea of having with maintenance because that lumped them all together. I see folks that are beautification, I guess in that division, putting up stuff in the offices, up in the clerk's office. They're painting. They come by to touch up and fix the TV and put up the cords, but they're also part of the same division. So if we want to bifurcate it out and separate it so the beautification division can just focus on that, I have no problem with that. It's still not going to change the fact that it still needs to be done. But there's 15 people in that particular division. So, Madam Manager, if you could just bring that back to the commission, break it down, so separate it out. So part of that is just, as the mayor said, only doing beautification and those related, and how we would capture whoever need to be assisting for setting up for events. And let's see what that looks like. So we can't have them just focus on the beautification. And again, that's not a knock on any employee, but if they're overwhelmed with the events, let's make sure they're doing beautification. Because I'd like to see flowers, I'd like to see shrubbery, I'd like to see all those things and the elements of it. So we're still in the early phases of the budget process. We can see how they look. That's a suggestion I would have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Any other questions to our beautification? All right, Madam Manager, I know we had a hard stop at a hard stop. I know. You and me right behind.
One thing we want to
We had a hard stop at 4. We were trying to do 4:30. Because they need to get back to their work and close out the day. We have what's left? Because I know we said we was gonna do another
Public
phase two.
Works, CIP, Town Center, IT.
It's a lot.
Yeah, Public Works has several divisions, so it's quite a few.
So you want to just continue with Public Works and then do the phase 2 with everyone else later on?
Public Works by itself is probably gonna need some time because they have a
More than
lot of
15 minutes?
divisions.
Okay. All right. What would you like to do? Stop here?
Stop here.
But
and-
you know
and
what?
Pick up at
For the
Public
next
Works.
15 minutes, I'm sorry, Mr. Anathan, and we'll stop. We'll do the hard stop at 4:30. We can answer your question about the travel. We won't go into the events. We know that's oh. Did you have questions on the travel?
Well, it does have some trouble.
Travel. Yeah. Okay, she said no. All right, so Mr. Anathan, for the next couple of minutes, and then we hard stop at 4:30. We can do the answer your question that you had about the travel expenses, and then we can.
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor.
I didn't know the hard stop. I know we want to stop. I want to, because they're sitting at the table with that. I mean, outside the ones we haven't gotten to, but the ones we have, I wanted to hear from them in a 2-minute whatever. Anything they want to share, if the manager wants to allow it, regarding their departments. If not, we could do it at the next session where we'll have more time. So I just like to have that notated for the future, Madam Manager. We can have that.
Yes.
'Cause I know we're on a hard time right now, so
Yes, definitely.
we could do that. I have that as a part of the next session, because I would like to hear from folks in addition to whatever we're asking.
Okay.
So, me to go.
All right, so Mr. Madam Manager, Vice Mayor wants to hear from the staff.
Yes,
I
he
guess we
said
can-
at the next time.
All right,
Got a hard stop.
Mr. Anathan, so for 2025 travel, this is what was done thus far, plus what's. you said-
Yes, sir. This is what I can find in the various POs at this point,
Which is-
including some future travel.
Okay, which
through
is the
September.
$22,000.
Yes, sir.
And then I know you asked the commission for a wish list of what we wanted to go to,
Exactly.
what we might want to go to, and this is what we see, which equal.
Go to the third page, which is all the requested individual trips. And then I tried to cost them out on the second page, and you can see the number we got to. In very easy terms, the requests are 31 trips, actually 32, because I assume 2 legislative trips. And what we have for FY25 is 15 trips so far. And again, if anybody sees some flaws in the estimated cost, please let me know. And then the bottom line is, what does the commission wish to spend in commission travel this year? I'm sorry, next year.
Well, I know in my one-on-one, I asked you to do an even 50,000, which would give every commissioner $10,000 to play with, whether or not we use it or not. I remember that's what I asked for in our one-on-ones. I don't know where they stood, where everyone else stood, but that's what I asked you for.
If I may remind you, the state has asked that we be somewhat specific in terms of the trips involved. Remember the exercise from last year? They really wanted to see some quantification of where the trips would be.
Okay. Now, that's another issue that I have, Mr. We're not gonna go with it. You want this, we can do other for everyone else, but the commission has to be specific. We don't know. We can't tell you. So and it's not you. I'm sorry, it's not you, but we don't know. We don't know. We
And based on page 2, the estimate is 47,100.
47,100.
So why not round it to a even 50,000?
It's whatever number the commission wills. I mean, that's just the math. And if that's what the commission wishes, you've got it.
Okay, so based on the wish list that you all asked the commission to submit, it came up to 47,100. So I guess that's your answer.
Yes, sir. If that's the amount the commission wishes to spend, that's the answer.
So either 50 or 48. That's up to you, Madam Manager. Just bring it back. But
There's no difference. It's the same number.
I love, but I'm just saying we can save $2,000. That's what you want. But I don't understand the need to single the commission out. I never
Okay.
understood why you all do that. Yeah. Do we have any objections,
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor?
so the mayor saying round off to 50, you got it 47 based on what we've kind of said to you.
Yes, sir. Based
Because
on
the
my
state
estimate.
wanted to be specific.
Say again?
They were trying to be more specific in terms of our trips that we were
If
taking.
we use the question really was, what is the total amount the commission wishes to expend? And I just got my answer. And yes, we can use all these trips as the detail underlying that request.
Repeat that last statement.
My last statement was related to the state's request, I guess, to put it appropriately, that we itemize what trips the commission was thinking about. We can use this particular document and satisfy that request.
So but is the state going to hold us to this hard number and or trip?
They have not this year. I would expect not. It's just something to see. It's a reasonable set of requirements.
Okay, so something were to come up that one of us wanted to go to that's not listed here because maybe something came up out of the box and we think it's beneficial. We would have to what? Come before the commission to get approval or?
I believe that's
state?
the way, if I remember right, from last year, I think the state wanted to get agreement amongst the commission that if they're going to exceed their budget, that there be consensus among them to do it. And it would take a budget amendment, by the way,
Well,
unless you took.
At our individual. You're saying it's still based on that, even though it's lumped together in one line item?
That was the way the budget's been put together since I've been here. Yes, sir. Last time I saw it broken out, I think was about 4 years ago.
So if we get to the $50,000
Yeah.
by August and there's other trips, we would need to bring it before the commission 2 weeks.
That is my recollection of what the state was looking for. And it would require, if in fact the budget is 50 and this takes you over, at some point we'd have to do a budget amendment.
And then, but you never answer Vice Mayor's question. So if I want to go to the National League of Cities, but that's not budgeted for, will I be able to go if we still have money within that line item? Or does it?
Yes, sir. I believe I did answer. I said, the state is not holding us directly accountable this year for that. There is travel being done this year, which was not identified in the budget.
Okay, but using the mayor's example, and I know the League of Cities we normally budget, but let's say another conference or something one of my colleagues wants to go to because they hear about it, it's not budgeted. You're saying they can still go if there's money in the line item.
Yes, sir.
But the line item is actually predicated on stuff we've already told you we're gonna go to.
But this is we went through the same exercise this year. You identified a series of trips you wanted to take. You ended up going to other trips. It has not been a problem.
It wasn't a problem. because some of us
You
probably
didn't
not
agree
go.
with it, but it was in the budget.
The reason I'm saying that because some of us may have said we're gonna go to a League of City something and we didn't go, something came up.
Yes, sir.
So that money was sitting there, so
Agreed.
you were able to use it.
Yes, sir. Agreed.
Okay, but I'm asking the question in advance because if we do go on the trips or whatever, and there's no extra there, you're gonna have to come or the manager, somebody gonna commission and say, we got to do a budget amendment because we didn't have enough. But is
Which
that
we-
going to happen before the trip, or how are you going to fund it to do it without having a challenge from the state, I guess?
Well, but as you well know, the budget amendment process is not a speedy process. But we get permission from the state to go ahead and do it with the provision that will be submitted as a budget amendment. Vice Mayor, does that answer your question?
Not hardly, but
Well,
I think you have some cushion. I'll give you an example because, I was going to the League of Cities.
Yeah.
I'm not going, so obviously that few dollars, whatever it was, is sitting there. So if one of my colleagues came with somewhere they wanted to go, you have something in the line item because my expenditure is not going to take place because I'm going. I'm more concerned next year, for example, or a new budget, because that's what we're doing, that all of us do go exactly where we're saying going, and it's going to be exactly the cost that we say, but something comes up. I just want to know how that process is going to work, because there are timelines with the registration and or whatever to even go through that. I understand the budget amendment and capturing on the back end.
Yeah.
You've had the caveat before because it's been money there because some of us were supposed to go, didn't go, and so you had a little cushion. And that's why I'm asking the question. So it's 47, you're gonna make it 50?
I think that's the number I heard. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, and maybe I guess something we'd have to revisit if we get close to it. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we got 5 minutes and then we're gonna adjourn. You had the second workshop for July 15th.
And that's strictly a number in my head. That's not been agreed to by anybody, sir.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, Madam Manager, I guess you along with the city clerk will poll the commission to see. And we got to finish this, and then you wanted to do the events workshop